All right, ladies and gentlemen, what's going on? Welcome back to Series E Apex Legends. My name is Yeso. I'm your host here as always and excited to kick off our qualifiers for season number 4. Season 3 was an absolute blast, finishing up with Team Intel coming out on top, and I'm just going to pat myself on the back for that one because that was my pick at the start of the season. They had an incredible run, and now we're getting ready for the next generation of pros to come in. Those top 4 teams did qualify. They will get to hang out, come back, compete once again in Season 4. But now there are new spots opened up for anybody at home to try and come out, qualify, grab that sponsorship, and get into Series E for this next season. We're super excited about it. We got a crop of fresh talent here coming out to compete. We've got 4 weeks of qualifiers that start off here today. All these teams duking it out to try and finish at the top of that leaderboard at the end of these 4 weeks to qualify for the next season. So super excited about all of that. We had 2 lobbies to start things off today. Those have just finished up their first 5 games. That will whittle us down to the 20 teams that will compete in our finals lobby here tonight. So very stoked to see the action get back underway. I've missed Apex, get a couple of weeks off here, but ready to get back into all of it. I'll be here today breaking down our players of the game, talking about the storylines, giving you guys a little bit of insight on everything that's going down. So excited about that. But we also got a couple of great casters returning, our good friends Jamerson and Tom T-Squared Taylor. So very much looking forward to seeing them, getting to hear them break down all of the action. So I hope you guys are excited about it. If you've never seen Series E though, I can break it down for you, okay? Series E is a professional Apex Legends open circuit that absolutely anyone can join, okay? Our teams make it through our open qualifiers. They earn a sponsorship, okay? And what that means is you get to play for one of our sponsored brands. You get paid $750 a month, and you compete weekly for points and prize money, okay? If you and your friends want to get in on the fun, make sure to head over to matcherino.com/ESA for a shot at being a future Series E Pro, okay? And you can get in for qualifiers again tomorrow. We'll have them Tuesday and Wednesday night for the next 4 weeks. So get in on that. matcherino.com/ESA. All right? Look, we got 5 games ahead of us for our finals lobby here tonight. The 20 teams that have qualified for the finals lobbies have been set, and I'm ready to get into the action. Production's going to give me the thumbs up when we're ready to go to the casters, and they're already ready. So let's do it. Let's kick off qualifiers for Season 4 right now.
Series E.
Series E.
Series E.
Series E.
Series E.
Apex Legends.
Apex Legends.
Series E Apex Legends starts right now. All right, what's up, Series E fam? Welcome back. This is the Series E Season 4 first week of qualifiers, and of course, to bring you all the actions, myself, Jamerson, joined alongside Tom T-Squared Taylor once again for Season 4. I'm super excited. How are you doing, Tom?
I'm doing great, man. I had to step up my camera game so I could, be on your level now. So I'm feeling good now that we're here in Season 4 because it's an opportunity to see a lot of these new and up-and-coming players as we go through the qualifiers, and everyone knows how relegations go as we just wrapped up Season 3. But it seems like just yesterday where Season 3 ended.
Yeah, it's been a crazy ride that over the last year, we've been able to really help and set a sort of foundation for the Apex Legends community. We've seen teams come and go, but what we've seen most importantly of all has been growth. So many of our squads that have competed here in Series E throughout the first 3 seasons have now qualified their way into the ALGS Pro League. So I'm super excited about the work that we've been able to do here. And I'm super thankful, of course, for Esports Arena and all of our partners that have been able to make this happen. Now let's go ahead and talk about what we're here for today. We have 5 spots on the line, and so it's going to come down to 8 nights of play over the next 5 weeks, where we have 5 partnered spots on the line. But we're going to be running this a little bit more similar to how the ALGS did. 16 cumulative spots were opened up for the ALGS. We're going to do something similar. 5 spots are opened up across the next few weeks. You're going to try and compete, gain as many points as possible, and secure your spot on one of our partner teams. Tonight, though, we do have, of course, 5 qualification matches. Teams have already played their first round of qualifiers. This is where the points count, though. As long as you make it to the main event each night, that's where the points start adding up. And so we do also have $500 just as a little extra stimmy for our teams competing today. $500 on the line, $350 going to first place, and $150 going to second place. And Tom, nothing's really changing here in terms of the point system.
Yeah, not at all. You got to keep that typical ALGS point system. But again, it's just so important for these teams to get into SeriesE for so many different reasons. One, you get one of these awesome partnerships with all of our partners, but you also get to practice. You get the money on top of that. You get to stick with your teammates because there's so much turnover in terms of esports and just Apex in general, especially just first-person shooters in general. So getting something like this and getting this under your belt is just really what you work for in all of these ranked games. And it's all about having fun too. But this is where it starts. If you want to be in the ALGS, if you want to really get into it like you were talking about, a majority of our teams are in the Pro League, this is where all that practice comes into play.
Yeah, and again, we got to see some incredible growth. Our first place team of SeriesE Season 3, that was Team Intel, ended up being the first team to qualify with the ALGS qualifiers. And, you know, their performance on that first week of qualifiers was definitely what we were expecting of them, and it was great to see. So I'm glad that we're going to be having them back. We're going to be able to see them on ALGS as well. This is just more and more opportunity for growth for a lot of these teams, for a lot of these players. So again, another season. We got so many partners. We got so many hopefuls here that are looking to grab up a spot in our SeriesE Season number 4. Now, we are just getting match 1 set up underway, and we'll find out who the teams are in just a moment. But you have to imagine, you know, the relegated teams, they're looking, of course, to get back into SeriesE.
So I'm curious of seeing what the teams and the players look like for a lot of different reasons. One, so we can actually see who's going to be rising to the top. But I also want to have a side bet with you, Jamerson, and with the chat as well, on who's going to be our best rat of SeriesE through the qualifiers. There's always one, Jamerson. There's always one rat. I think Z Davis was our best rat. You know, the season before we had Ronnie, who was Rat Boy Ronnie for a while. So there's a rat out there. There's a rat out there somewhere. We're going to find out who it is.
Yeah, I think Season 1 was Kubsky as well. And there's always that one. I mean, it was kind of interesting because once it came to like Season 3, Ronnie changed up his style. He was no longer having to rat as often as we did see in Season 2. So we'll see. As we do populate, of course, the teams, our admins are working on that right now. But we got a lot of players, of course, vying for a spot. Again, here's the stakes, right? If you make it into SeriesE, excuse me, Season 4, that means you and your teammates will be securing $750 each in salary per month. You'll get all the nice things that come with, of course, being on the partner squads, like extra swag and such. And here we go. We do have our look at the teams. And so a lot of names, of course, that we're going to be familiar with. Buff Pathfinder, another squad that did secure themselves a spot in the ALGS. Also looking at a team like Shame Assist, along with Team Select, actually. That one looks absolutely insane. Matt Pickett, Aves, and Fat Brew Ninja. How about yourself, Tom?
Yeah, Select stands out for sure. I'm also looking at the left side too, because I was looking at Buff Pathfinder, RCO, and then Gamers. You have Petty Boss and Cody Muffins Petty as well too on that left-hand side. Garrett's pretty strong. So that left-hand side looks really, really stacked. There's a lot of solid players in here. We have Midnight coming through playing with Mochi as well and with Trinal. So there's so many solid players and teams in here. I can't wait to see who's actually going to step it up.
Yeah, another team that did actually secure a spot in the ALGS, we're looking at Otama. They had a big run in the last 2 qualifiers. So Dank and Vize there, along with Hero Delivers. So a lot of names that are just looking for more and more solidarity in terms of rosters and being able to get the practice. And, of course, just the extra kind of funding to keep it going throughout all this. Because you have to remember, in the ALGS, it's going to be the top 20. There are 40 teams in each region, but I believe it's only the top 20 that will be placing into the money for that one. So nothing guaranteed quite yet for being in the ALGS. And so if you can get that extra little bit of stimmy, $750 a month for the next 3 or 4 months, that will be a huge boon to your competitive career.
That's always how it's been. You have to place inside the top 20, but you also need to make sure that you're really placing inside that kind of top 10 area. And I think that that's what everyone really strives to be at, where you can start being inside the big names and put yourself in a position to win a tournament. Because if you're not really pushing for, top 40 and then eventually top 20 and then top 10 and for the win, then you're not really ever going to, move on and accomplish your goals. So I know a lot of these players have their eyes not just set on qualifying, but winning a tournament, because we saw Garner come out and, not win. And now they come and get signed under 100 Thieves after winning the championship. And that's just phenomenal for them, from going from a team that was sitting in that area, that 10-15 area. And then they step up on the biggest platform ever and win a tournament. And we've seen teams go and do that and upset. Yes, like TSM, all these teams are going to be very consistent, but Apex does have so many solid players and teams. And there is just a little bit of that RNG factor when you come to circles and just Battle Royale in general, that it's really anyone's game.
Yeah, and with the signing of Congarno onto 100 Thieves, I mean, it goes to kind of really reflect the revolving door that has become SeriesE. Teams come, teams go. They make their way on up to the tier 1 organizations, but they definitely, of course, use us as a platform to boost them up and help them get to basically where they stand now. So super exciting, again, to see all this growth. Really excited to see what the future holds, or teams like Team Intel, who have been making a huge name for themselves over the last few months and such. And I'm glad that we have this platform to be able to provide them that kind of support to get there. Again, that's what these teams are playing for. They, like I said, we have $750 salaried positions for the 5 teams that make it through our qualifiers. How do our qualifiers work? Well, it's going to be a cumulative base, no longer just if you're first in the lobby at the end of the night, you secure a spot. It's going to be all 5 spots secured by the end of the qualifying season, which will take place over the next 4 or 5 weeks. So right now, we're just getting game number 1 set underway. We have 5 games ready to play. Now let's go ahead and talk about maybe the kind of shifting in metas. I know when we talk about EU and NA, there are some drastic changes, but we're starting to see, some cryptos coming into play, a lot of caustics, of course, and some teams starting to move away from the Valkyrie now that the qualifiers are over.
Well, also because the more Valkyries that you add into the play, just the worse it gets. And you saw so many different people kind of complaining about how random teams will just fly on top, and teams that are unexperienced with Valkyrie, and they see a team like Team Intel do so well with it, but they don't understand Intel's practiced that so much that it's something that they've continued to work on. And it is kind of a grief when you just go and full send it onto a team. So I've always thought Crypto was extremely strong. Crypto was the strongest when his EMP wouldn't even slow your teammates inside of that area. So I love watching a good Crypto play. I still also think that, I would love to see Pathfinder, because we have Buff Pathfinder in here. I want to know what your favorite team names are, because we got literally Vibin right there. We got Squid Games there, and then we got Buff Pathfinder. Those are my 3 favorite team names, but I'm always a big fan of Caustic. I'm always a big fan of Crypto.
It's always going to be Buff Pathfinder, because my boy needs some love. My boy needs some love. He doesn't have an actual passive.
To Buff Pathfinder.
Please, I would love that. I mean, if we can get that trending on Twitter, that would be fantastic. But I don't know. I just feel like everyone thinks, he like Pathfinder is still good if you're, just kind of solo playing, right? Like his movement, his mobility feels great. And, yeah, it's fantastic. But in terms of competitive play, he just doesn't offer as much. We saw a small resurgence of him, right? Around the beginning of SeriesE, like season 3, where teams were utilizing the zipline a little bit more, and it was great to see. But it did not last for that long. It kind of died really quickly. So I would like to see him gain an actual passive instead of just having the recon passive. Where 4 legends now can actually scan beacons. He needs something a bit more than that. So hopefully
that's when it all went downhill,
he can actually get something. It actually was.
That was the start of the downward spiral for Pathfinder once everybody started to scan.
No, I remember on season 1 Kings Canyon, right? Or even season 0, before really a lot of competitive things were taking place. I mean, the composition that you ran was Wraith, Bangalore, Lifeline. And then Bangalore ended up getting replaced by Pathfinder because teams were learning how to play center circle, and they needed that ring information. The fact that he had the added benefit, of course, of having the zip and offering some different rotation paths was a benefit. But more than anything else, when teams were still learning the circles, his passive, which was exclusive to him, was actually the biggest cause for him to actually come into the meta. So I would like to see some more love for him because I love his movement. I've been playing him since day one, basically, of Apex Legends. So I want to see a lot more of him. Some of the biggest names in Apex Legends, really, we're making their names on Pathfinder. I mean, if we take a look at Albert Laley, he was the one that was just kind of just rocketing in with that grapple, really completely inting, but still living. It was actually fantastic.
Yeah, people like that, watching like Asu, watching Hal, et cetera, play certain characters, like watching them play on Wraith, watching Albrille play on Pathfinder. In my opinion, they really just set the bar of like how Apex's movement was to be. So to me, that's why they deserve all the credit in the world, and they still continue to put on a really good show. But I remember getting the first lobbies with these guys and playing with them on my team, and just being like, holy cow! Especially playing on controller, going and watching their mouse and keyboard movement. I was like, these guys are just moving on a whole nother level, and it was really awesome to see. And yeah, the meta got a little bit stale with, Watson consistently coming in there. And I think we're in a really, really good spot right now. But I really think when we talk about Pathfinder, his ability to outplay without having too much of a kit and just really having that grapple is really what is exciting about him, because it's such an instant play that it's really exciting to watch. And we don't have any instant plays like that anymore, because you have Wraith with the Q taking a little bit longer, et cetera, et cetera. And a lot of people are relying on their abilities just a little bit too much. So yes, he was extremely strong at a certain point, but still would like to see him get back somehow into the competitive meta.
Yeah, the great thing about his ability was that it was just a movement, right? It was something that you can use to reposition, to get yourself out of a fight. It wasn't something that added that much benefit, where ultimately it was about putting yourself in position to make your gunplay shine more than anything else. And that's what I loved about Pathfinder, being able to really shine with your gunplay. I mean, squads really express themselves with that legend extremely well. I would love to see more of that. I mean, even going back to GSD or Nasky, Strafe, and Dell, back in the day when Strafey was on that Pathfinder as well. Like, they still played center circle extremely well with when they had Nasky on the Watson. They didn't have to rely really upon the ring because he was just so goddamn smart about it. But being able to really see those fraggers open up with that legend was absolutely fantastic. Right now, we're still waiting on game number 1, so thank you all for sticking with us. We'll get that underway very shortly here, as again, a lot is on the line. We have 5 games that will be played tonight. And it's all about accumulating points across these qualifiers. It's going to be the top 5 squads across all those weeks. This is nothing they're strangers to. This is what they have been doing in the ALGS to secure themselves a spot in that top 40 to play in the Pro League. So we're just continuing on with that theme. We're continuing on with that kind of format, although it's just 5 games tonight. Then we'll have another 5 qualifying games tomorrow night, where teams will be able to secure their points. But along the way, of course, we're also handing out prize money. So $500, again, sticking with that 5 theme, $350 going to first place, and $150 going to second place. So we're giving them a little bit more to play for. This is also the similar stakes that they'll have throughout the regular season, where every night we have $500 on the line. So again, just trying to provide as much support for the Apex community, the foundation for the Apex Legends community here, especially as a stepping stone into the Pro League. As right now, of course, you've got, 3-4 months of Pro League that we're looking forward to. So it's very slim pickings in terms of opportunities to try and make your name known. And a lot of these squads, they do start off here in Series E.
I really think the crazy thing about the season kind of starting too is we're going to be in a really, really intense area, and then we kind of get into the holidays, and it's always interesting to see who kind of the pros playing at that type of level. They really just kind of eat their Thanksgiving dinner and then go back to practicing. So that's the amount of hours that they're putting in. So I'm curious to see who's going to kind of excel through that time and who's going to kind of, take a break, and both can end up being very, very useful. Sometimes you don't have to play all the time, and it is really important to go and take that time off. And a lot of these players don't really get time off. So it's going to be really interesting to see who's going to end up stepping it up here. And also what the meta, like you were talking about, is going to be specifically for these qualifiers that are coming up right now. And how many crypto caustics will we see? What's going to be the compositions that we see? I still think that crypto is one of the harder legends to go and use. And a lot of these times you are only playing with teammates that you don't have that much experience. Sometimes you've played with these players for years. Sometimes these are teams that just got formed. That's hard for a crypto to kind of come in there and say, hey, you're going to play crypto unless you've known and played with these guys for a long time.
Yeah, the crypto, we've seen even some of the best teams really struggle foundationally with that legend, with that play style. A lot of the times, you know, you have to play center zone with it, especially if you're running that caustic, which means you need to be out of your POI by the 2-minute mark instead of the normal 1:30 for a lot of the squads that have that movement that can maybe rely upon a balloon or the Valkyrie ultimate to get themselves into center zone. With that crypto caustic, you need to be on the move, and that means you're going to be out of loot and now out of time. It might be LKM, as Fearing is the only one alive for his squad. It's absolute monarchy contesting them here. Stomps showing up with Dank and Hero. So that's going to be the first team going down in this lobby.
That's really big. I mean, coming in and getting the first 50-50 is so big for your confidence, but that's another really solid team as well. And while that's happening, you are going to have some additional knocks going on with some more 50-50s. Fat Perkins and Matt Pickett are getting into it over towards the side. There's going to be knocks from both teams over here too. So two 50-50s, and that's what you can kind of anticipate from the first game, is a lot of different teams going and contesting as another team is showing up to the fray over here. Now Otama, looks like they're getting third-partied or highly contested in this spot.
It's an extremely fast third party there, and you have to imagine that you should have been able to scout that one, as Stomps is going to try and get away on that gondola now. And so he might have an opportunity. He is, of course, on the Octane here. So once he gets his jump pad, maybe he jumps back in, grabs the banners, and gets out. But these caustic traps are going to make it difficult. It doesn't seem like this team wants to stick around to camp the banners. They're happy with just picking up some kill points and moving along their way, as they do finish off Crispy Bacon at this point. So there should be an opportunity to pick this one up. If we take a look at the map in just a moment, as the action has slowed down, we'll see how long they can camp these banners for.
Let's scan this area.
I'm pretty sure they're going to camp this the whole time, because those are two teams potentially coming through and maybe getting reses and coming through behind you on your rotation. And you want to try to clear out this south side. You can see how many teams are on this south side here, Jameson. They're all going to have to make their way over through these chokes. It's going to be an absolute bloodbath. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of, Valkyries that are going to be flying over. But you can see Saging, Harvester, all this area is open. Every time there's 50-50s, there's going to be empty spots on the map.
Yeah, it looks like another full team has actually shown up here. So this team does have to be careful. As you can see, Stomps is also lurking around, trying his best to pick up that banner. Full 3-man right above Rar T at this point, and they're trying their best to lurk. But as we move on over to Landslide, it looks like Seamus just find themselves in a fight. Spaceman is the first one to go down. Koala picks that one up, and he was in there on that Valkyrie. Sumo getting thermited out, has to back off, forced to bat up as Xenox will go ahead and take the front line. Bubble down. Now it's the 3v2 on the other side. Seamus is going to try and utilize these nades. The air burst might actually catch off these teams, but they just back away instead. Slow playing this one. They don't really need to force the issue. So Sumo going to try to change up his angle, but it's still a 2v3 up against them now. Arcstar in. This might be the big opening for them, but it looks like the squad avoids a lot of that. But oh no, one player's caught out trying to loot, almost goes down. The Sussy Bakas have to be careful.
The Sussy Bakas, that's a pretty funny team name. I like how everyone's kind of spread out over there, but wow, if Sheeny goes down to that R301, that could have been huge for the opposite side. Sumo had some really, really solid shots right there, did whatever possible, and also was chucking some pretty good arc stars throughout that, and Shinny playing a little risky. Going to try to survive over here with some more cells. As Koala and Mika is going to put down some cover fire, but they're in the middle of the open right now, so they got to be pretty careful, and I like this play. They call for the bubble. They're going to redeploy on out of there. That was not a good spot to be in, especially with all the heat that they just took from fighting.
Yeah, they got a KP. They got some loot out of it as well, and so that's what's going to top them off for the mid game. But here's Team Tonka now, playing on the edges all the way down here by Thermal. They've got a player in their sights hitting for Flesh, and they will be able to finish them off. They've already secured at least 4 kill points here, and so they can continue to lurk around as we join on board with RCO over at Countdown. Bubble res does come out to get Holiday back into it, but it's not going to be a gold bag res, and now he needs to take the time to heal up as they back away into the office building. They do have the caustic and the traps already set up, and with the ring pulling up this way, they should be safe to just completely stabilize. It was just very scary to have one going and down just outside of their building, but here we go. It looks like Nando will be able to secure himself a cargo bot. It's going to be a purple one. Hopefully a nice upgrade to that bolt, and does not like what he sees, decides he's just going to go back in.
I don't like what I see either, Nando. I would have waited for the gold, man. See what he could have got right there. Could have been a gold bag. For, you know, more cover for your brothers over here. Is going to throw down the bubble for some crafting. But RCO, one of our teams that consistently come into Series E, I would be so stoked to see them continue to play over here and possibly qualify, because we saw what they were made of towards the tail end of Season 3. This is a team that plays a lot. They grind a lot. They just really haven't had their breakthrough moments. And maybe this could be it. They have a lot of loot. They have that, again, crafting station there, and they have the right composition for this one. The caustic is going to be perfect for covering these doors, and they're going to be able to just get whatever they want with all those armor swaps inside as well.
Yeah, and we're seeing the focus now coming out from all the squads that want to play for this zone, pulling up towards Countdown, but you know, we've seen a lot of these rings pulling out into that open field between Countdown and a landslide, so a lot of focus being put down on that area, trying to get maybe the fence line on the north side, just outside of the tunnel, trying to get the sniper post as well. And some teams might be punished. Of course, we're that south rotation coming out from landslide, if this ring continues to pull to the north, can be absolutely punishing. But for right now, RCO are just able to have a field day, just continuing to online shop. I mean, you know, that's been the majority of my pandemic experience, and they're just continuing that now. But as we join on with literally vibing over here at Lava, they do have a team actually stuck inside the house for now, looking for an entry here. And there are lots of ways you can approach this building. We'll see if they try to get the climb ups, try to get the peeks through the window for now. But it looks like more than anything else, they really want to secure this beacon building, and this team is just the thorn in their side.
Yeah, I think this is really smart, because then they're going to get the scan onto round 3, and they could Valkyrie redeploy typically to another solid spot. But the Wingman EVA 8 combo here is something that you have to have really confidence in, and you have to have you know, a lot of great pressure with this Wingman. Otherwise, you're going to get R301. You're going to hit with a lot of these automatic weapons. So it's nice to see our Series E qualifying teams rocking this Wingman, because I still think it's one of my favorite weapons by far. Good grenades inside of the trailer right there. Look at all these Wingman gamers busting them out. You don't really see this.
Yeah, one knock going down onto Midnight, but that's a different fight. As they are making their way in, they've got the knock. They want to push up, but again, these bubbles can make it extremely difficult, but there's the EVA 8. Garrett gets the knock, and that's going to be the finish off onto that squad, the +3. And this is a very important fight for them to win, especially as clean as they did, because Petty Boss was on the hunt with this squad. Has to queue out. There's the bubble for Muffins as well, but that team might instantly turn onto it. Muffins might not have to throw down a preemptive thermite, but instead they'll just walk this one back as they have that port. And so now they are on the back foot for a moment as they reset themselves, but they still at least maintain position over the beacon building here. And so that's the primary focus for them more than anything else.
Petty realized, well, I took way too much damage over here as I was trying to peek, and he did get it out of there pretty quickly. The portal was utilized. You saw the phase being utilized as well. Everyone gets out of there. Muffin's also having the discipline to hold on to the defensive environment, because he understands the situation. If he tosses that, his bubble was already down. They still have their bubble plus plenty of cover in there, so that would have been a wasted utility. So I like that play. Petty Boss making up for that mistake, getting out of there immediately. And now they take this high ground. There's not that big of a rush. Again, if you're playing edge, then you're going to be stuck on the edge over here. Gamers, though, stuck inside of another fight inside of one of these blue trailers. It's going to be NME going down, and Crummy's just wondering how he's going to deal with all this caustic gas inside the door.
Yeah, they try to get into the God spot here for this ring. Port out from Ack, get them right back on top of that sniper post. And so these were some of the positions that we were talking about, and the Joy Boys are showing up for that third party. Crummy getting finished off, and now 2 players left inside the truck as they try to go for that res. But this is going to be an easy peek out for Aj as he almost finishes him off, but Ack decides to allow them to get that res now. Aj, will he be able to get back safely? Gaines is going to go in, should have the bubble res for him up. Does he get pushed by the squad, or is it just going to be a ceasefire as both of them want to go for the res?
Meanwhile, Muffins is getting some knocks over towards the side. Crummy gets the kill, and then remember, Ack goes and puts that portal down, and Crummy, I believe, got flushed out too, so he accidentally took the portal back and got stuck on the ground. So unfortunately, Ack's gonna have to just be fighting with one other teammate over there, but you gotta give credit when credit's due. Staying on top of the sniper pole right there, coming down getting the portal down and actually going for the res while getting the kill was super impressive.
You know, we'll see. There are, of course, mobile respawn beacons that can be in play to get people in, and it seems like, unfortunately, we might be having server error. We'll give it just a second here as it reestablished itself. So let's go ahead and take stock of where we're at in the game now. It's 13 squads left, and we have about 4 players missing. So a lot of teams right now playing it out as a duo. Gamers is going to be one of them, along with the Joy Boys that we just saw. They at least have secured the banners. We'll see if they have a mobile respawn beacon or if they can just maybe rotate out to go for the res. But Gamers, of course, can play up here in the sniper post. This is one of the god spots, but we'll have to take a look at ring number 3 to see exactly where this one goes, to see how well this plays out for them.
Keep in mind the fight that was happening over towards the back of Lava Fisher too, and they could have been a team that gets a huge scan, but we've seen so many zones end over here that Gamers is in a pretty decent position, but they're going to want to get Crummy back into this game, and Kimchi's taking a ton of damage right there with the EVA. I like that Arc Star, but it's just not far enough to go and put any substantial damage in. As you can see, the head glitch is coming through, but the third party is just too strong coming in from behind. And that was Otama with the peaks as they're getting their team back into this one and doing a nice little flank around the corner. Wow, Stomp's getting extremely aggressive, trying to finish this last player while a whole other team shooting on the side.
That's going to be another Caustic player on the other side of this one, so they do have to be careful, but you can see why now teams are starting to pull up. That ring pulled hard into Countdown now, and the squads that baked on it going over there are extremely happy. Going to grief that door, and it looks like the Caustic Barrels, will it be enough to block out all this damage? Looks like they realize it is just going to be one. They go in to finish him off. Cruisin has some fight left in him, taking out Stomps throughout all of this. They should be able to finish him off and get him res safely back into this gold bag res as well for Hero. So Stomps definitely happy about that one.
That's how you play it if you're Stomps right there. I mean, he's confident. He knows that his teammate's going to have the gold bag res. Also, with the gold bag res, you can bait other teams to coming in, as Bercy's going to be flying in. Bubble goes down as well. That's going to be a nice little res right there onto Malice, as multiple defensive bombardments are being used, and all hell breaking loose on this side of the map. So Tama's going to get right back into this one, but Stomps, I love that aggressive play. They understood that was still a rat. Full sends it over towards the side. Thought he was going to win that throughout the entire time, but either way, he has enough communication to get his teammates right back into that one. Hero just knew he was one shot. PK right there, easy kill, and they are racking up some serious points here, Jamerson. They're looking like a force to be reckoned with. Already with 3 onto Hero, and not that far from the zone.
And you can see RCO, they took that early position in that countdown building and were rewarded for it. So this is a pretty classical circle, but importantly, we're going to have to note, does it pull to the north side or to the south side of that building? And we have a lot of teams, of course, kind of funneled up in the south side now. Aj has to be careful as that Arc Star does come in. A bubble coming out just to be safe, as we saw there was a lot of fighting over this before, but now with this ring pull, a lot of teams have decided to move on over to the southwest side. It's a little bit more free for them to play off of here, and they'll be safe for this ring. And so we'll see how long they can commit to this one. The next one will really kind of determine their fate.
And keep in mind, there's so much loot over here. You can see the amount of death boxes that happen from all the fights. Rocking inside of the middle of Skyhook is okay in this instance. Again, when you're playing Valkyrie, you're allowed to kind of do these things, but coexisting in the buildings is tough. And remember, there are so many Caustics in the lobby right now that it comes down to the Caustic player a lot of these times having to make the push. And this is how you do it. I love this from Chosen One. Continuing to barrel up, continuing to chuck down more nades. Now, instead of just owning one floor, they're going to own both the floors. And if he wanted to, he could continue to do that, but it looks like his team is going to make some calls to back it off. Has a digital threat on this with the purple mag on the Volt too. So if Chosen One's feeling confident, he should be the one to make the plays here.
Now you can see all the teams starting to really focus their attention here on Countdown now. As we have that push coming out from the squad, the Pathfinder on their front line. Shitty gets the first knock. They do answer back 1 for 1, but Koala brings it down to just 1 player left for RTE as they get cleaned up. And now they'll be able to secure the res. But here comes Cody, Muffins, and Petty making a push on to this truck. We saw a team in there earlier on. All the Caustic Barrels going down. And there's a defensive bombardment just to make sure that they can't back away. And they have them secured inside this building. But a defensive bombardment on the other side is going to force Petty Boss back. Cody, is going to be ready to go for this peek once again, spotting him out, hitting for that purple armor. He's got the thermite in, realizing he is backed up into that corner, but it narrowly misses.
That's like all my thermites. I mean, Cody, I'm going to give you that one. That looked good to me, my guy. I'm personally going to want to recount on that one. I don't think that counted, honestly. We need another one. Toss that second thermite in there.
Yeah, he's doing a great job, though. He's cleared the barrels. He's cleared about 2 already so far, allowing Petty Boss to actually show up for free. A big thermite connect, but Petty Boss has his Q up, bubbles down from either side. They're hitting for flesh, and there's the first knock onto Gaines. Cody finally picking that one up with that thermite. It's a 3v2 for this squad. They've already got 3 kill points, about to pick up another 3 here. Again, doing a great job, not overextending on this fight, just making it safe, making sure that they are not in third-party territory. Cody drops low, but they will be able to finish them off. Now we're down to 8 squads, 22 players left. What timing on that fight. They still have another 20 seconds, and they have the pings going down for their next position to play off of.
I really like the way that they're playing. I mean, this works really well for their play styles, and you can just see Cody goes in there with Petty Boss. Petty Boss is already someone that's going to put a lot of pressure, and you see the original time that we switched on over to his screen, how he was in their face on Wraith. And eventually what you can do in those instances, if you take a lot of damage, you can bait players out if you have a really strong Gibraltar like Muffins, who's extremely confident. Sometimes they'll have really good loot. And it reminds me a little bit of, they're their own play styles and their own players, but you can just tell a lot of, Team Razor type of play style in terms of baiting and switching in the way that they were able to execute it there.
They are under a little bit of fire. As you can see, the south side, it's going to be a lot of contests as we do have the ring closing in ever tighter here on Countdown. 15 seconds left before this zone starts closing up, and teams are trying to get whatever they can, as we did have one Valkyrie redeploy being utilized there, and the Tijuana Piranhas, actually the ones that were trying to keep out the Petty Boss squad. Their bubble's been used, and now they are vulnerable. The nades are coming in, and it hits a full connect. Bambino almost goes down. Only had about 20 HP left. He will go down. Petty Boss picks that one up with the L-Star now, legit trying his best to survive the barrage, but he will fall. Petty Boss picking up all 3 kills there now. Cody, Muffins, and Petty have at least 7 kill points. I want to say they have 9 because we've seen them involved in about 3 full team fights themselves. They clear out this south side as this ring continues to pull ever tighter onto this building that RCO have been able to hold down for now, but for how long, especially in the way of this wrecking ball that is Cody, Muffins, and Petty.
The only problem at the end of this game is not having a caustic right here for Cody, Muffins, and Petty, so they're going to have to do whatever they can to continue to add aggression, because someone's going to have to eventually clear this team out. RCO has been in there for so long that they have to deal with it, and that's why you can see them just slowly making their way over towards this door. Maybe if they can add pressure, another team will push on over towards the side, they could back off and maybe get a 2-for-1 for both teams just by adding pressure on over towards this building, because it is so important to try to lock this down, and the caustic teams are going to do whatever they can to make sure that they hold this as long as possible. Problem here for RCO, you start to feel a little cold, right, Jamerson? And you get a little bit worried because you see Petty and Cody and Muffins taking out so many different players, and you know the pressure is on. Meanwhile, you haven't really shot and fought much of the game because you've been stuck inside this door.
Yeah, and if we talk about, of course, the difference in economy when it comes to playing Edge versus playing Center Zone, is that a lot of the times, Center Zone, if they don't get a mid-game fight or an early-game fight, they don't replenish their heals. As you can see right now, that Caustic only has that one back, but along the way, Muffins and Petty Boss have been able to pick up loot box after loot box, replenishing their stores throughout all of that. We're seeing a Valkyrie redeploy being used right now. Mika be dropping the Sussy Bacchus right into RCO's building, and this actually just forces the issue now, as RCO have to defend against 2 squads. Petty Boss picking up that kill onto Koala, but the Sussy Bacchus do back away now from this building. RCO just shivering inside their building for the time being, as they have to play this one out as a 2-man now.
The team that's really shaking is Sussy Bacchus, but the problem is both teams are being so disciplined, they're going to leave them until another team goes and starts to push up. And you can see just the discipline coming in from Petty Boss and the rest of the squad over towards the side. Meanwhile, Ak is going to actually be taken down and flushed out, but that's one of those tough situations where you're hoping that you could land down if you're Mikabe and get a bubble. But I'm not quite sure what happened, why they weren't able to stay alive, because the bubble did go down. But you can see this is basically no man's land. They had a really tough rotation, and unfortunately, they're not going to last long inside here.
Yeah, it's all up to Shinny. He's only got about 5 HP left. And who picks that one up? Well, it's going to be Petty Boss for another kill. I think that's going to be his 7th frag this game. And now is the opening for Cody, Muffins, and Petty facing off against RCO. They're the ones with the topped off armors. They're the ones that have all the meds to work with. Petty Boss working the angle on the left-hand side as Cody has to back off because of that Nox gas grenade. But they have plenty of ground to work with on the platform just outside as the final ring will start closing in.
Did you see that right there? He looted through the pillbox right there, got all of the stuff that he needed to as he swooped around. So great utilization of the map there from Petty Boss. As you were talking about the same thing where they're just continuing to have all these batteries, all these heals, 8 batteries coming in just from Petty alone with all this damage. You know they're feeling extremely confident and they're rolling. They want to continue to end this one, but it's going to be Holiday with the opening. Muffins should have a gold bag at this point. The bubble is going to come down. You can see the res coming through. Doesn't look like it's going to be a gold bag res quite yet. I think that is going to be a normal res. You can see Cody still fairly weak, but RCO doesn't know that. And they're afraid of the other teams that are on the map right now because you can see all 4 teams, full teams, and anyone could make their way up top with a handful of different legends at any time. So a little bit of a chess game going on here with RCO.
Oh, here comes the defensive bombardment down. They counted it out, knowing that they used that bubble res as well. They will not have a bubble. We'll see how well they can survive, and it looks like they're not taking too much damage on the Muffins, Petty, and Cody squad side as literally vibing now. Sauntering their way on in from that skyhook side. Nades coming in, the full focus onto the team outside. And it's going to be the full push on in onto RCO in just a moment. It looks like no, Petty Boss has the moves to keep his team alive, being able to port back. And finally, the bubble comes up. Literally vibing now. Might change their focus onto RCO here. Big thermite flushing them onto this side, leaving them vulnerable to the door. Another defensive bombardment going down. And just as the bubble goes down for Muffins and them, Muffins will fall before he trades away. Stomp's going down as well. And it's huge trades. We're down to the final 3 squads here. As we'll see, literally vibing, pushing up as a 3-man. RCO coming out as a 3-man as well. And now it's going to be RCO versus literally vibing. They've lost one at the 2-for-2, or excuse me, a 2v2 now in the final, and literally vibing shows up to close out the first game of the night.
What a job right there from, what is that, SeriesE. SeriesE coming in on the big boy Gibraltar with the little flank right there. Kind of like a snipe down type flank, coming around, sneaking behind the team, letting everybody run by him. And then Prowler scout shots were looking really, really solid. Just that little maneuver right there behind the box got them more than enough damage to go and finish that game off. Really nice job by Literally Vibing.
Yeah, great win for Literally Vibing, showing up from that northern side. RCO playing center zone were able to secure 2nd place for themselves. But I think the big story for that first game is, of course, Petty Boss, Muffins, and Cody, who are absolutely slaying out in this lobby despite taking 3rd. I imagine they're going to be 1st place in overall points. We're going to find out, though, as we take a break. And when we get back, we'll have game number 2, the SeriesE qualifiers, right after this.
Verses coming daily under pressure. Working on the plot and the scheme. The true side trademark is at the edge of your dreams. I'm talking. Yeah. One shot, now the future is yours. I'm turning dreams into reality. In the lab with the formula and chemistry. The memories spark and motivate and make the industry shake. Put the bars in the breaks. I'm talking one chance at the soul, go for the code. It's one shot, now the future is yours. Go!
Welcome back, everybody. Literally Vibing taking the first win here of our first day of qualifiers. Still a very long way to go, but that's certainly a great way to start things off. And absolute chaos in those late circles. So many teams in such a small area, and that just meant chaos ensued as soon as that final circle started to close. But Literally Vibin does come out on top. And let's check out our player of the game for the first game here on the day. And there it is, Jaren XYZ, 6 kills and an assist, and just shy of 1,300 damage. Great game to start off with there, and obviously, Literally Vibing going to be feeling really good. And one thing to remember here is, our qualifiers work a little differently from the way it worked for, for example, ALGS Pro League. If you guys have been following those qualifiers over the last about 6 weeks, over there, you're qualifying 20 teams, so the team that came out in first place at the end of each week's qualifier qualified in, and then it was the other 16 top finishers in terms of cumulative points. It is only cumulative points here this time around, so it is important for teams to be coming out every single night to consistently qualify for the finals lobbies and then to be putting points on the board. So those qualifying rounds are important only so far as getting into the finals lobby. So if you have a rough qualifying round, but still make it in the lobby, that's fine. You just need to succeed when you get into this final lobby, just like Literally Vibing has done here. So 4 more games ahead of us. Super excited about that. And before we go to another break and get ready for game number 2, do want to let you guys know, if you missed out on the announcement, we have announced a brand new title coming to Series E. Guilty Gear Strive is going to be joining Series E. We have an entire circuit. We're so excited to partner up with Level Up to put this all together. If you guys want more information on that, make sure to head over to esportsarena.com to check that out, as qualifiers for the first season of Series E Guilty Gear start this week. So esportsarena.com for all of that. We're going to go to a quick break. When we come back, Jamerson and Tom will get you ready for game number 2.
Etc. I'm fading.
One bad headache can crash your entire game.
Excedrin relieves headaches fast.
Excedrin, game over for headaches.
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Eat, Speak, Compete.
Eat, Speak, Compete.
Yes.
Name, incredible. Logo, even better.
I'm your host, as always, Yeso, joined by my co-host, Luke Shimone Brew.
There's a lot to unpack there. I don't even know where to start.
If one of the North American teams doesn't win, their 2021 season is done. I got my fingers crossed. I think you got this. Let's turn more towards the competitive side. They finished strong.
Like 35-2.
They finished strong. They looked.
If the only intent is, hey, let's make this game as esports as possible, then sure, but that's never going to be what Nintendo does.
And I'm very curious to see what kind of their first take on what a Valorant World Championship should look like.
Dang. That's super fun sounding.
Yeah, I think it's gonna go.
That sounds super fun. I think that
What's going
All right, welcome back, guys, to Series E, where in game number 1, it was absolutely explosive. So much fighting taking place there. We saw Cody, Muffins, and Petty Boss really just kind of running the table, going from team fight to team fight to team fight. So we'll see where they end up on the leaderboard as we check in with the first Mobile One leaderboard of the season, or well, the qualifying season at the very least. So let's go ahead and take a look at how many points our teams have accrued so far throughout the qualifiers. We have to remember that these are cumulative points. And so it's at the end of the qualifiers. The top 5 teams, the top 5 scorers will be moving on. But it's literally vibing, actually, taking first place with 23 points. That does mean, though, for Cody, Muffins, and Petty Boss, they had 13 kills in that last play, in that last game, walking away with a +7 from coming in third as well.
Can't remember if they got third or fourth. It was either one, because literally Vibin did such a good job of coming around the corner and forcing the action over there. And it was a lot of great defensive bombardments and great use of understanding what the timing was on the bubble and just all of the cooldowns over and over again. And literally Vibin, keep in mind, I believe they came from the Lava Fishers side, and they were waiting to get hit that scan when they had the double wingmans over there too. So I really liked the way that they played, and we saw a lot of different great facets of the game too. RCO, I think that the spot that they got was really solid. Unfortunately, that building is not that easy to hold when so many teams are surrounding your area.
We saw for RCO, they took that center zone very early on. That's where the zone ended up ending. Let's go ahead and take a look at the Mobile One high performance moment of game number 1 as we continue to talk about that. But for RCO, they're in a spot where you're not able to get as much kill points. And so even though they took second, they only had 2 kill points throughout all that. And so that does allow Otama to take the third place spot. But this is the last fight now, literally vibing, moving in to finish off the RCO squad, playing around that bubble well, and then instantly transitioning now to this final player here, finishing off that Caustic on the RCO side. So literally vibing currently our leaders and currently in first place here of SeriesE.
That was just such a really nice flank. You could see right here where Seedeye is looking at everything. He goes, wow, if I go and take this box, I can use the bubble behind. And he doesn't take any damage. He's laying down a 200-0 right there, switches on over. And you don't really know how many players are going to be in this final circle right here. So going through and taking minimal damage is definitely the right thing to go and do. Plus, he's doing it so he could use his arm shield and he can ADS with that Prowler. Once he was utilized all of that and was out of ammo, basically, he just switches right back on over and basically doesn't miss any shots here because his teammate is starting to get weak. You could start to get a little bit nervous in these situations, but that's just a really heads up play and staying cool in a very hectic area because you could just see the amount of action that not only happened here, but the amount of action that led up to this. It was absolute chaos.
Yeah, we'll see if they can continue this throughout all the nights. Of course, game number 1 is really a big time for teams to really adjust to the lobby, really figure out the play styles of the squads. So we'll see how much they were able to kind of glean from this first one. But it was a very scrappy one. By the third ring, we had 13 squads left, and that's kind of typical for our first game of the night, where there's a lot of action early on. We did see the 50-50s taking place for squads like Otama, who did actually have to bounce back. Remember, they were down to just stomps after a third party came in and cleaned up 2 of them. It was a really good bounce back. So we'll see if over by Lava, if that continues to happen, or if teams will decide to not contest for the 50-50s.
I'm pretty sure we saw 2, maybe 3 POIs that weren't taken. Staging looked kind of open. Harvester looked fairly open. That middle area looked pretty, safe to go if anyone wanted to go over there. But also Epicenter, Survey, and just that whole north side of the map, it looked like a handful of our teams, well over 10 teams, made their way below that 50-yard line when we're talking about north to south, maybe even more than that. I would say, a good 13 teams out of the 20 looked like they were down there at a certain point. And that just creates so much congestion depending on where the zones are going to go. If it goes down over towards the south side, it's going to be tough for the teams up over towards the north side, but there is a lot of open spots, and I'd be surprised to see the teams continue to take the 50-50s that lost those. I would look for maybe one open spot. If you can't find it, then you're gonna have to go back and take that 50-50, but it's so tough when you can't get your footing underneath you, and we've seen that bite a lot of good teams in the past in SeriesE and just in general. So hopefully that doesn't happen to some of our squads here.
Yeah, we did see some great movement out of Otama. You were talking about that congestion on the south side. They did a great job, like you said, going Lava Fissure side and actually avoiding a lot of the clump down on the south, made their way up to the northern end itself. But here we go, heading into game number 2, our second game of the qualifiers. Plenty ahead of us over across the next few weeks, as it does look like the 50-50 that was taking place in the center of the map might not be happening here. The team is going over towards that Harvester side. The introduction of having a beacon there makes it a lot more playable. The loot is still absolutely garbage, but at least you have a beacon.
Yeah, it's true. And it's also something that you can, if the loot's garbage, you can realize that you want to get out of there as fast as possible too. And it's not that bad. I mean, remember when they didn't even have Evo shields, and if you were stuck with gray armor, you were basically stuck with gray armor and there was nothing you could do about it. But now we take a look at that zone, and it is going to pull up over towards that northeast side. And it looks like to me a heavy favor over towards that overlook side. And when we talk about the positions to go and play over here, there's a lot of really solid spots that you could go and hold down. But another 50-50 happening over towards the fragment side. Euban going to go and get that flush there onto Fearing Live, and hopefully has a battery, because getting the blue armor and getting right back into this one would be crucial. But look at the shots coming in from Pickett.
Yeah, and this 50-50 took place in game number 1 as well, so it's just continuing on as teams really do favor the drops, the PLYs in the center of the map, and we're seeing the fights over it. So Fragment East along with Fragment West, hotly contested for a lot of our teams, especially for teams that, in the future, for future tournaments, want to be able to secure this spot. Seamus is showing up over at Frag East, making the rotation in now, catches out Midnight, and will be able to secure that early kill point as well.
Unfortunate for Midnight, he's going to be going down fairly early, but this is such a crucial spot of the map to go and own that you can't afford any mistakes over here, and there's not going to be many opportunities for a res in this area of the map, since everybody's going to start making their way over here. One team already making their way on over towards the cave, and this is where teams already start to rotate, but teams coming in on that 145 mark is absolutely ridiculous. SeriesE just wasn't expecting this, and they were just a little bit split, so they got to get right back together.
Yeah, they're trying their best to survive for now. Sumo with the airburst nade connects onto one, forcing them out, stuck on top of the rooftop. But it does look like they are able to back away at the very least. See how long they'll have this fight for. So you have to start worrying about the northeast and the northern rotations down for this zone. I mean, I've heard some squads kind of complaining about the zones right now, that they're harder to predict. There's been really wide pulls coming out from them. Don't know if that was fixed or if it's going to kind of stabilize in terms of zone prediction here, but here's Sumo making the push. They've already gotten the knock onto Russia, and he has to back away himself as he was dropped down to about 20 HP, but Spaceman is here to finish them off. So that's going to be a +3 for SeriesE. 2 weeks, though, find themselves in a fight right now down at Lava City, losing out on Obsessed. Now they have to fight back, losing out on Luda. Gonna be a 2v3, it seems, as Sykes will back away to hit that bat, but Garrett is left by himself, guarding that door for now. Here comes the swing down, has to be careful of the Arc Star, and he just had healed that up. Gaines pushed in at the same time, as it looks like it's a knock on either side here, as Aj wants to push up. And he's the healthy one. He's covering the door. He's been cracked. There's the peek out. Gaines doesn't have an arm shield anymore. Forced to use that bubble for himself, as it looks like they're able to quite possibly maybe hit the res on the other side of this door, at least bait out this push. Here comes the Bloodhound from the other side. Now, they're trying to play off the stairwell. They're trying to play on the 2v1s. There's that bait on that res as they try to melee down that door. And it's the 2v1 peak, but they're getting flanked at the same time. Sykes comes in to finish them off. And that's going to be 2 weeks, getting the team fight win here, and they'll be able to get the res onto Luda.
Really high caliber fight coming in from both of those teams. Everyone playing that fairly well. A lot of baiting and switching coming through. But once the Gibraltar and the reses come through with the bubble, that really forces the action right there. And you can see just a little bit healthier on the other side. Unfortunately, it just took too much damage. They didn't really have any batteries. Whoever has the big meds in that instance is going to do a great job. But I love the bait and switch coming in. I loved how Garrett was playing the door, and they get rewarded big time for that one. But meanwhile, another big fight taking place over here towards that no-name side. You can see Sussy Bakas are stuck inside of one of these buildings, but this is a pretty solid building if you ever want to be stuck, especially with this composition. They should be a-okay. It's more about fending teams off.
Yeah, it looks like they were trying to make a push for the building, but again, it's that timing. The ring's already been closing. Teams have moved into position over a minute ago, and you're seeing them all show up now. A team coming out from the northern side. You have another team stuck over at the Dorito building just to their southeast as well. So they're just going to have to take this moment to really take stock of what's going on around them. Make sure that they know the lay of the land. It looks like a lot of teams are getting out of dodge with that Valkyrie redeploy, though. A team that is currently in a fight right now over here at Overlook, though. It's going to be literally vibing. Our team, our winners from game number 1 now. This is slightly isolated. They do still have to worry. It looks like a team might have been playing off the sniper post. And so they'll just back away with that, as there does seem to be a lot more presence than they're probably expecting for this kind of pull.
I like this spot, though, and I think this is a really good building to go and play. Problem is there's a lot of different areas that you can take damage from. You can see both doors if they get griefed. A lot of grenades could end up coming through. You can have that window that you have to worry about. Bursty taking a big burst. He's going to have to bust out the Phoenix kit right there. The rest of the teammates healing up, as well as Malice is going to be able to clean up the rest of the players. But Buff Pathfinder playing Valkyrie, they're going to be able to rotate. But at this point, everybody's already filtered in. So many teams rotated early here. You have no name taken, multiple teams over on the Overlook side. Not much real estate for a team like Buff Pathfinder go and have to play, so they're going to be stuck on the edge for quite some time.
Yeah, and they're okay to do that, right? When they're running this composition, of course, they're just looting up. They've got purples, and it's all about making it to the late game with this kind of comp. We know how strong it can actually play into that final 3v3v3. So they're just going to take a moment to just saunter through Skyhook for the time being, but it's Team Tonka now. And as a team caught out inside of Harvester that were trying to camp that beacon, they themselves want to pick that up if they can, at least force that squad away. So Kim Chi Lee doing a good job of creating space so far on this Gibraltar, as that team, is completely getting out of here. And at some point, I think, you have to say, job's been done. We secured this beacon. We forced this team off. We can get the scan, but they are hungry for these kills.
It's really interesting to see how just adding a beacon over towards the Harvester side forces teams to kind of stay over here. Before, this is an area where it was just rotate out, no one would really linger over here and fight. And when you do fight over here, you expect a lot of teams to kind of filter in because it's one of those areas that is in the middle of the map and you want to go over towards the fragment side. But judging from the player outlines right now, this looks to be a fair 3v3, and I don't think any third parties are coming in. At the same time, if you're taking this fight, just in general, you have to take it fairly quickly. So as soon as that scan goes away, as soon as that heal comes through, someone's going to have to create an opening. Right now, it seems like Kimchi's the one that wants to play aggressive.
Yeah, they have to be careful, though. The Beast of the Hunt has been popped on the other side, so they're going to have those scans every 6 seconds. You can see Tonka just trying to wait that one out as they slowly creep up and deal with these caustic traps as well, as the bubble's going to come out a little bit early from Kimchi. It's the bubble on the other side as well. And we'll see if the full commit comes out now as Kimchi has to decide, are these our barrels? I'm not entirely too sure. This is where communication is absolutely key, as now Otama is showing up quite possibly for a third-party attempt, or at least taking away this position now and kind of flip the tables onto them. You got to be careful. You were almost stuck inside a stomp. Somehow survives with taking minimal damage on that flank, but he does get nearly cracked there, backs away to hit that bat, but Dank is here to cover the door for now and makes them second think, going for that peek, but it's going to be a lot of counter peeking on the other side. Enemy gets the first knock onto Dank as Kimchi Lee will fall. So it's a 1-for-1 as the thirst has come down onto Dank. It's going to be a 2v2 as Otama starts their push. They don't have a caustic of their own, so they have to clear out these barrels as they go. Kimchi Lee has been finished off, and so it's going to be a thirst for a thirst. Beacon has been recovered for Otama, and they have the option to go for a res inside just to their west, along with maybe coming back for this beacon, but right now, there's just so much fighting. Team Select, though, trying to make their fight up against Buff Pathfinder, but Buff Pathfinder wiped them off the face of the map. Really, no issue here. Completely healthy on this side.
It's always important to look at the health meds overall because you know these players are going to hit the immediate armor swap. So if you can win a fight without getting one of your players knocked, so you don't have to worry about the res in the third party, and all you have to do is hit a couple of syringes, you did a great job during that team fight, I guess, especially against Select, one of our stronger teams that we have in here. We know what they're capable of as players, individuals, and as a team in general. But Buff Pathfinder is looking pretty strong right now. We saw them rotate from the backhand side. Now they are still playing the edge. And like you said, with this composition, they're going to be in a pretty decent spot. Meanwhile, Crummy with the R301 is getting into another fight. Crispy Bacon trying to land the shots. That's going to be a knock going on to Axe. So it looks like we've been in situations where both of these team fights are taking place. Are fairly even, but Crispy not able to get the armor swap he was hoping for. And now it's just up to Messiah. Fortunately on Caustic, but only left as a solo. Possibly going to be ratting this one out, but he's not going to rat it out. He's going to go in for the finish.
And here's RTE coming in for the third party. See if we can finish him off. Now, a lot of fighting taking place here, but the ring does start pulling away. And we're going to have more of an epicenter zone here. As you can see, that green ring pulling to the north. So the teams that were banking on this one, maybe going over towards No Name, maybe going over towards Overlook, are going to be forced out of their buildings with this next zone. They will have 2 to 3 minutes to try and figure out their rotation here, but for RTE, they're safe inside one of these buildings here in Fragment, so they can take their time, especially with having these big loot boxes to play off of.
I would love to see the map now that we saw this pull. Perfect timing right there. You can see still a little bit towards that Overlook side, and like the players are talking about, Jamerson, this is an unpredictable pull. Another fight taking place in your picture-in-picture on the bottom right-hand side, so you don't have enough time to cover this one, as Messiah is going to be going down, and RTE looking fairly strong on that push right there. Again, Chosen was playing phenomenal in the previous team fight. Didn't get a chance to talk about it that much, but the way that he was doing a ton of damage, I was really disappointed to see them not win their team fight because I thought that the angles that he was taking was really strong. I thought that the shots looked really good too. So let's see if Dan and Ghost are able to continue to follow up right here after the big team fight that they just had. But yeah, extremely unpredictable zone. And now we're going to see a ton of action happening on towards the north-hand side of the zone.
Yeah, this is going to be difficult if you're not a Valkyrie team. They have that there's going to be that epicenter high ground that teams can look down from, and so the run up eventually, if that ring continues to pull up to the north, can be incredibly difficult to deal with. Of course, you just bypass that, having the Valkyrie in play. And so Rartihi are in an excellent position for now. They can just play this one passively. They have the kill points as well. But here on the south side, Otama now finding out another squad caught out in the blue bins as they're trying to zero in. They've got the angles as well, working this squad. They have backed away at least to not leave themselves just in one corner, but slowly and surely you can see Otama are wrangling them in all into the same angle. Bubble out along with the defensive bombardment, and Stomps just calls it going in. Kimchi Lee gets knocked, so Otama is going to finish off what they started over in Harvester. They do have to be careful. Stomps has been dropped a bit low as he's popping that Phoenix Kip, and Dank and Hero are doing a good job of just staying up at least for now, as Dank has fallen on the other side, but that's still bought enough time for Hero and Stomp to heal up. Here they go, almost getting the knock with that R301. It's all left up to that Valkyrie, and here comes the res. Otama will win out that team fight eventually, and now we're down to 10 squads left here in zone number 3.
Wow, so fortunate not to get third partied right here, as 2 players are going to get knocked in res, but literally vibing, stuck inside of one of these blue trailers at the bottom of the map. And you can see this is one of those areas where we could see zone pulls, but when you're stuck down here, so many grenades are coming from so many different spots, teams coexisting all over the place. Caustic gas even being tossed inside as well, so everybody's trying to stay alive. Our winners from game number 1 looking like they're in a tough spot right now, as now those nades that we were talking about are flying in. Every single little bit of utility is going on to literally vibe right now. This is not a vibe.
Oh, Buff Pathfinder are just eating away at them right now. Jaren, the first one to fall. You can't imagine they were able to heal up that much more, and so that's going to be the instant finish. Buff Pathfinder really coming alive here in game number 2. They have at least secured 6 points, but I'm pretty sure they have more kills than what we see currently. And now, like you said, there's a possibility that this ring does pull away here. And here we go, our first Tomcat Rat Cam of Season 4. It's going to be Wavy John, just taking a light stroll through the tunnels coming out from that geyser side.
Looks like stick drift or something, or maybe his controller got put on the ground as he was like, all right, well, I guess I'm just ratting this one out. But a slow approach through the tunnel over there, realizing that he's going to have to play the edge as much as possible, as the other team that was coexisting on the trailers was RCO, and they're in a similar situation as literally vibing now, but maybe just not as bad because all of the grenades were used, as Muffin's going to be taken out on that top right of your kill cam, or kill feed, excuse me. Sussy Bakes is one of the teams making some plays over here. Squall eats a lot of damage over from behind. Bubble is going to be down. Scan comes in from the side as well. But they're going to have to use this to heal up as fast as possible. And right now, I don't really see any options for Sussy Bakes. They're in such a tough spot right now from being pinched on both sides.
Yeah, this was a great position until it wasn't, which is generally how Apex Legends plays out. Koala does have that Nox Gas grenade. He'll have an armor swap there as he picks up that beak in 2 weeks. Playing this one very cautiously because they saw what happened to Sussy Bakas and how quickly the situation turned around onto them. They're not going to leave themselves in that vulnerable spot. Now, this does actually leave open the chance for Muffins, Cody, and Petty Boss to actually get that res back in if they do have a respawn beacon. The time that was bought here by 2 weeks might afford them the possibility for that. We'll see if a res comes in, if they were able to secure themselves a mobile respawn beacon or not, because the natural spawns are currently all out of play with the zone just ticking away so much that there's almost no way to get anyone back in if you don't have that. 2 weeks, though, in a very dominant position, playing off the rocks from the Overlook side now, as it looks like this one might be ending on the train tracks. You can see Cody's actually left to himself. Might just be riding this one out. RCO not too far off, and Buff Pathfinder, both of them actually poking at each other, and RCO's making the push now. We should swap on over as they are actually trying to make their way on in. Bubbles have been used. You can see all the gas being utilized as well. Defensive bombardment coming down. Nando taking a lot of damage as he backs away. And oh man, that was a huge defensive bombardment coming out as Otama showing up for the third party.
What a collapse there from Otama. You could see it from the picture-in-picture on the mini-map as they're just coming in with the perfect flank, but some more damage comes out from Bursty, and Stomps is going to be knocked. Maybe a defensive bombardment going to be used. No bubble as well. That was interesting. I thought possibly he was going to go and use that one to try to force these players out. It would actually force them right back in, and they'd be in the same exact situation because Buff Pathfinder just too disciplined. As soon as they recognize that knock, they're going to go and push through. Damage is coming through, so everyone's going to have to heal. but it doesn't look like it's going to stop them quite yet, and the caustic gas doesn't tick enough to knock down Dre's. So really nice job by Buff Pathfinder. Again, really nice third parties on top of this trailer. That's the problem with this trailer. If you get there with so many teams, you're going to deal with so much pressure over here, and now Buff Pathfinder's most likely going to be put in the same situation as all these other teams. Again, you're really hoping that someone is running out of grenades. You're not going to get just flushed out with frags over here, as Luda's going to be over there. And fortunately for them, there isn't a caustic on this team, so they're just going to be dealing with these Bloodhound scans, and the scans are going to show a nice place to lay a grenade.
You can see now on board with 2 weeks, they actually still have a lot of rocks to play off from position to position to be able to advance. And this is just a great spot to be able to play off of. For now, though, they have to be worried of Buff Pathfinder. They know that they were the beneficiaries of a lot of loot inside. So they need to try and bleed them out if they can. They do have a good amount of ammo, it does seem, to try and force those trades for the time being. You can see Garrett was considering throwing down a mobile respawn to provide a little bit more cover, having some difficulty climbing up on this rock, but he will eventually make it up there. Right now, it's the final 6 squads, 15 players remaining, wondering if Cody is still alive for that squad. And I think that actually might be Cody stuck inside that car.
Yeah, pings are going down. They're really focused on the 2 week side of making sure that whatever happens over towards the side, they don't get lit up, because there's a lot of good opportunity to stay on top of this rock over here. You could slide down very last second. The zone's going to close extremely slowly, and you could possibly have your defensive bombardment up in time if you're Garrett here, and that's going to be big because you can bubble defensive bombardment, make a play. Other teams are going to use the utility just a little bit too early, and you could do something pretty big with that one. But there's also another opportunity. You can get crazy and play on that zip line for a second, bounce around on that one. It all depends on how you want to go and play this one. You're going to end up using your portal too if you're Luda. So a lot of opportunities to potentially win this game here for 2 weeks.
Now, I want to see Sykes throwing some scans up behind them, making sure that he clears out the cars, because we know that Cody, we can see it throughout all of this. Cody is playing in the back line there, on board with the Tijuana Piranhas, actually in a pretty decent spot. They've got the rocks to play off of for the next zone, and you can see Buff Pathfinder trying to make themselves as small as possible. Mobile respawn beacons going down left and right to provide themselves more cover, and here's a Kraber coming out from Flick. Does he have the Flicks, though? And there we have it. It looks like Cody does get finished off, and so now it's 5 squads remaining. There's still a rat alive as well, as Flick is making sure that the back is cleared up. Wavy John finally getting cleaned up. It's the final 4 squads left here as Zone 5 finishes up, closing 2 weeks. Tried to make their push on the Buff Pathfinder, but now they're getting punished. The third-party attempts coming out from all of our other squads right now, realizing that this is their opportunity for kill points. As you can see, the Tijuana Piranhas, they have some damage, but they don't have any kills yet. They need to get on the kill feed here in a good way. And you can do that, especially with the Kraber. Dre bleeding out. Bubbles already been used by him, luckily, but no res quite yet. Malice Mamba is starting to stick that one out, as it does look like 2 weeks did get finished off. So it's the final 3 squads remaining now.
So big from Buff Pathfinder to win that fight inside here, especially because they've been steamrolling in this game. But from what I'm seeing, if Malice is going to have a gold bag, you have to assume that Dre does too, and that's going to be huge towards the tail end of this game. We'll see if Flick's going to be able to change the outcome of this with the Kraber, because right now, Buff Pathfinder is stuck in this sandwich, but the zone pulls over towards them. So Tijuana Piranhas is going to have to be the first team to move, and they could get focused by both squads here.
Yeah, you can see now they're starting to work their way up from cover to cover, but the first team in their way, it's going to be Chosen One in them, stuck inside the car, which can be extremely dangerous here. We'll see if maybe Buff Pathfinder on the other side can sneak some barrels in, or a Nox gas grenade and try and punish them. It's all gonna come down to these cooldowns. Who uses the bubbles? Who forces out what? All the ultimates are coming online as well. If Flick wants to, he can set up himself a cross angle with this portal as well. But there's the knock with the Kraber, and instantly they're starting to throw in the nades. They're trying to hit that res as well, but I don't know if they're gonna be able to get this one off. Hits for the body, but he sticks it. Gets Ghost back up, I think. but now they have to back away themselves. They're going to use an early bubble as a defensive bombardment does go down. We'll see if Flick decides to go full push. Buff Pathfinder tries to find the flank here, but Malice Mamba has taken a lot of damage. He's going to be allowed to actually get the full battery off, but oh no, Buff Pathfinder cleaning up two. There's only one left, but they have to worry about the third party, and somehow the team that got that first knock on the other side, He are able to recover here, and they'll be able to take the win here in game number 2.
It's crazy how the domino effect happens, that if he's able to get that grenade inside, if Flick gets the Kraber shot and then gets the grenade in, he's coming through and has the angles. I'm so shocked that the rest of the team isn't able to focus the Gibraltar or whoever was there as the res was coming forward. And Buff Pathfinder thought because of that commotion that was happening and because of the knock, they could come back around, but that ended up kind of biting them in the butt as He looks like they kind of stole one right there from the trailer area.
Yeah, but our final 3 teams, it looked like all of them fragged pretty much equally, except for Buff Pathfinder, who had a very similar story to what happened in game number 1. 3rd place finish, probably highest on the leaderboards in terms of frags for that game. So we'll see what that means. We're going to go ahead and take a short break. We'll have game number 3 of our qualifiers here at SeriesE right after this.
Big win there for RAR XDT in game number 2. Some of these team names are too much, but big win there in game number 2. 3 more remaining ahead of us, and just another example of something I get to talk about every single week is the ability to third party in those late circles is extremely important, is almost always going to give you the advantage and a high level of success at the end of the game, and it works out there for RAR XD. Let's check out our player of the game here for game number 2, and it's going to go to Dan Maddock there. 5 kills and 2 assists. Not a ton of damage, actually, just short of 800, but very effective damage here regardless, getting those 5 kills and 2 assists. So good showing there from Dan Mantic. Yeah, Mantic. New names here. Not quite used to everybody here. So Dan Mantic with player of the game there for game number 2, and RAR XD moving their way up in that leaderboard. And don't forget, it's about putting together cumulative points on a day-to-day basis through these 4 weeks. So good start from RAR XD, and literally vibing here on the first day, but still plenty more games to play and 3 more remaining ahead of us here. Do want to let you guys know, if you want to support our partnered brands here at Esports Arena, you can shop all of their products over at walmart.com/esports arena. It supports our partners, supports us. So if you need anything from Razer, Intel, any of our other partners, head over there. We're going to a quick break. When we come back, though, we'll have game number 3 of our first day of qualifiers. What's going on, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Eat, Speak, Compete.
Eat, speak, compete.
Yes.
Name, incredible. Logo, even better.
And I'm your host, as always, Yeso, joined by my co-host, Luke Shimone Brew.
There's a lot to unpack there. I don't even know where to start.
If one of the North American teams doesn't win, their 2021 season is done. I got my fingers crossed. I think you got this. Let's turn more towards the competitive side. They finished strong.
They were like 35-2.
They finished strong. They looked.
If the only intent is, hey, let's make this game as esports as possible, then sure, but that's never going to be what Nintendo does.
And I'm very curious to see what kind of their first take on what a Valorant World Championship should look like.
Dang. That's super fun sounding.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be awesome.
That sounds super fun. I think that like.
All right, welcome back, guys, to Series E. We are getting ready for game number 3. We had RAR XDT taking the win in game number 2, but we had so many teams fragging out, which means we have to check in with the Mobile One leaderboard to see who stands up top, and it's going to be Buff Pathfinder. Despite not getting the win, 7th place, they had a lot of kill points in that last game, putting themselves in 1st place. Taking that away from Literally Vibing, who are now in 2nd place with 28, and now RAR Teehee with that win put themselves in 3rd place. So a lot of the teams that we were looking at, of course, currently in the top spots right now, Tom.
Come on, we all know it's RAR XD. Teehee. You gotta say it. You gotta put a little emph on that name, Jamerson, at the end. They were pretty impressive, honestly. The way that they, again, he's talking about the third parties. Third parties are on point from these teams right now. Everybody's coming through. Everyone's slaying out. If you're taking a fight, you have to end it fast. Otherwise, there are a lot of teams that are kind of waiting to go and collapse over here. So I've been really, really just impressed with the way that they're coming through right from the get-go. I mean, the first fight that we had was a 50-50 that immediately got third-partied within the first 45 seconds. So these teams are fully aware at the pace this lobby's going. And if you're not on that pace, you're going to fall behind big time.
All right, let's check out the Mobile One high performance moment of game number 2. And it's going to be the final moments here. I mean, the Tijuana Piranhas really started opening things up with this Kraber, but you saw Buff Pathfinder really wanted to take advantage of the fact that their focus was on RAR XD inside their carts. But because of this flank that came out from Buff Pathfinder, that allowed them to get the res, come back as a full 3-man. You have to imagine gold bags were in play for this as well for the quick reset. And RAR XDT do end up walking away with the win. So we have a very, very tight top of the pack right now. Really, the top 4 being separated really about, 5-6 points maybe? So with 3 games left to go, there's still a lot of room for movement. But here we go. Heading into game number 3, we've hit the halfway mark of the first night of qualifiers. Remember, these are all for cumulative points. We'll be playing across multiple weeks here, and only the top 5 teams with the highest scores throughout all the qualifying nights will be securing a spot in Series E. But every night, we still have $500 on the line. So there's still things to play for our squads every single night, but it's only the top 2 that walk away with money every night. It's going to be $350 for first place and $150 for second place. So our squads are keeping an eye on that as well. But here we go, heading into World's Edge once again for game number 3. And we are seeing the contests happening left and right. You can see Fragment West and Fragment East. So many squads are here right now.
It's just because they understand the importance of getting these spots. So if they're going to go through this qualification process, someone's going to try to bully each other out. So it's not that surprising, again, to see the 50-50s continue to take place. Because if you're feeling confident about your POI, you're going to try and take that big 126 with the Sentinel. That's so tough to deal with right in the beginning of the game because you really just don't have that many heals. So maybe an armor swap, maybe you're able to find a med kit along the way. Otherwise, you're not even going to be running around picking up loot right now. You're just running around trying to find heals.
Oh, no. Oh my goodness. These sentinel shots coming out from Dan Mantic is really forcing them back. And it looked like more than anything, the squad was trying to chase down Chosen One. But these covering fires coming out from Dan has been absolutely huge. They do have to back away, though, from the nade, but they're running as a full 3-man. They might be able to catch out this squad, but it looks like it's going to be a regroup from either side. And Dan now playing the lurk on this Valkyrie as they actually change up the position to retake heights and push up and cover this door for the time being. They have all these barrels to play off of, and so they can just lay it and wait and see if the squad overextends himself. And it looks like RTE will take a moment just to heal up, but this fight's over at Lava Siphon taking much longer than it did in the previous games. As we get a first look at the ring, it's going to be pulling on over to Countdown once again, but a lot more of Lava Fissure is in play. So Lava Fissure is going to be the main focus for a lot of our squads.
You can see Midnight's team's going to be stoked about this one. I believe that they were one of the teams landing over towards the fragment side in the previous game, so it's nice to kind of get rewarded and go over towards that Lava Fissure area, maybe split that loot with RCO and try to own another POI with a beacon with a solid spot, and now you're going to get an ending over here. And this is 2 out of 3 endings that I believe have happened kind of on that north-hand side, so I know RCO is going to be stoked about that because they had good positioning in game number 1, and that's where they picked up a majority of the points so far out of these games. So we'll see long term what they're going to be able to do. Meanwhile, short term over here, it's going to be Otama with the bubbles going down. That's mostly going to scream out for fighting for both teams. Hero takes a majority of that damage over here. Will he have a battery? He doesn't. So we'll see what the rest of the players are going to be able to do now that the pressure's on.
Yeah, Dank is the first one to fall, and Hero will go down next. Stomp is left by himself once more. Very similar situation to what happened in game number 1. So they were able to recover in game number 1 and pick up a lot of kill points as well. And so we'll see if he can do that once again for his squad. You have to imagine that RT, oh man. He might actually just chase after this one, especially with how much damage that they're doing right now. The Sussy Bakas over at Landslide find themselves in a fight once again. And oh, Stomp does go down. And so that's going to be Otama going out. That was one of our top 5 squads, as well as Team Sussy Bakas will actually pick up the +2 over here at Landslide. So we're already down to 18 squads. The pace of the game's keeping themselves really fast. LKM tried to get involved here, coming in for the third party, but we know on the other side, Sussy Bakas did not take that much damage. They might be stuck up here on the height on top of the crane as Fearing Live is trying to find an angle with this 30-30 repeater. It does look like in repositioning there, it allows them to actually get out for free. We'll see how much LKM try to chase after them for now, but I think you're just happy to force out this squad as you want to try and control this beacon, as you can see they're playing off of right now.
They really had it too. If Fearing would have realized one of those players had slid down from the top, he would have been able to predict that the rest of the players would have slid down too. And they were sliding down because they were so weak. But look at this, 3 grenades in the backpack for Fearing. And it's going to be a Valkyrie redeploy out of there. Nice job, good bubble, ditching out of this situation. It looks like they are going to get out of jail free with that one. So most likely making their way over towards the back end of the zone to try to get just a little bit further from these teams that are gatekeeping. Now LKM is going to have to consider doing the same thing here, because this is an area where a lot of teams are going to start rotating through, and the zone most likely not going to pull over here.
Yeah, the congestion that normally happens for this, I mean, we talked about it in game number 1 with a very similar ring. We saw a lot of fighting here just along the ridges, just along the south side of Countdown. With that Valkyrie deploy, that squad is going to just be able to get out of there and probably play the north side, the slow side of this zone, and avoid a lot of that. For LKM, though, they're happy to at least force this squad away. Even though they don't pick up any kill points, they secure themselves a beacon. They can camp this for the next round as well to have a better idea of where this one is going. So expect them to be here for the next few minutes.
And it's the right play. It's just, again, when you don't have much to stay here for besides that, and you're going to end up maybe taking a team fight you don't want to do. And we've seen so many third parties, that's really the only thing to be worried about. So that's why it has to be on a swivel, and everybody has to continue to work together. Fortunately, right now, the 30-30 with the 3x is one of the stronger things that you could have to carry all of this open ground. And look at the shots, have been on point the entire time from Fearing. It's just a matter of who's going to walk in front of him, because he's going to be hitting these shots. And also players taking the high ground is really big too. But look at a lot of the Valkyrie teams have made their play, and they know where this zone's going to go. So while you are getting that scan, this is one of those predictable zones, and if you're not in there, you are going to be on the outside looking in. And I fear for LKM, that's going to be one of those instances.
Yeah, it was just unfortunate for their drop that they weren't able to get a beacon initially, and they had to rotate for that one, and so that does slow them down. But for gamers, they have a really strong building. They're going to be able to play the ridgeline here. A lot of the zones do end up ending basically on the open ground between either this building and the one to the north that they're looking at, or on the open ground and to the building to their southeast. So this is an excellent position to be off of. They just need to make sure that they're, of course, just showing presence this entire time, and no Valkyrie team just kind of drops on them for free. RCO picking up some early game kills. So they're making up for the kind of slower playstyle that they had in game number 1, where they were able to secure center zone early on. And that might be RCO going for that crafting rotation like we saw in game number 1.
I think what's happening right now, though, is a lot of the Valkyrie teams are starting to fly in and not anticipating so much real estate already being owned because of the fast rotations that came through. And this is a little bit different of a pace than our first 2 games, which we saw a lot more action over here, especially with the amount of 50-50s that we've had so far. So now that this has happened, again, there's just going to be a lot of teams that are waiting to just send a firing line against the other teams that are coming over here. And all these Valkyrie squads, there's not much real estate to go in from. Right now, the only option would be going behind them and kind of playing on the backhand ridgeline. But then if you run out of your bubble or if any mistakes happen, you get punished immediately. So RCO doing a great job, like you said, picking up kills from their spots along the way, and they're going to continue to lock down this building. What we're waiting for at this point could be another one of those unpredictable zone pulls, and if it does happen, all those teams in Lava Fissure are going to end up fighting, and RCO is going to be the beneficiary of a lot of those kills.
Yeah, if this somehow pulls on over towards that countdown side, they are going to be extremely happy with this. For the time being, they're happy to also just play edge if they need to. If this pulls away from them, they have that Valkyrie to play off of. There's going to be the out of bounds that they can utilize as well. You have to keep that into account when you have a lot of these mountains inside. But SeriesE Bacchus find themselves in a fight right now. It's a 1-for-1 exchange as Gaines does go down. Obsess is the next one to fall. SeriesE Bacchus instantly going for that res as well. Prioritizing getting the reset more than anything else instead of securing these kills, which eventually they do anyhow because the third party's already coming in. You can see they're able to turn around onto that one. You've been getting punished as they get this building and back away. So you can see why prioritizing that res was so much more important than securing the kill points.
Not only that, but Koala still has multiple barrels here, so he's able to just continue to own multiple real estates over here. Switching on over to the wingman too, landing some shots. There's a grenade as well. Really like the way he's playing this one, just diving into his own grenade. Not quite sure if that was the play, so he's going to ditch in back on over towards his teammates, but that was a scary situation for Koala right there. I don't think he was expecting that frag to go off quite as fast as it did, and he could have ended up paying for his life right there. But they're going to be okay because Mika has his bubble. They have plenty of armor swaps and loot to go through. So just an aggressive little play there from Koala. Also laying barrels above their head too. So if anyone pushes into the building above them, they're going to know that a team's gone and forced their way through there.
Yeah, I was playing that one a little bit like a Wraith. At that point, I was surprised when the barrels started coming out. I was like, oh wait, he's not on Wraith, but he's playing as aggressive as he is. 2 weeks though, over here by landslide, as it looks like it might be a fight over the beacon for the time being. LKM are still here. They were waiting this one out. It doesn't seem like they were able to hit the scan either, as teams did show up, and so they need to bully them out. But it might be a full commit from either side, as these rings are so valuable. Getting that information is so damn valuable. Messiah, though, he's got the high ground. He's got the barrel set up. It looks like that squad's going to kind of avoid a lot of this fighting, and they're going to give up this beacon as they play inside the tunnel for the time being. Good damage coming out across from LKM. They are getting closer and closer towards that purple Evos, but will they have an opportunity to try and go for this beacon? You can see Fearing Live. He's sticking close to it if he wants to throw down that bubble for Crispy Bacon.
And getting over towards the high ground is extremely crucial over here, so I like that play, especially again with that 3x 30-30 that we've been seeing utilized throughout the game. Cody Muffins and Petty looking like they're in a situation where they're trying to fight outside in, and if you're outside in, you're more viable to get third-partied, so they have to be a little bit careful over here, checking their backs as they're doing so, wondering if they're going to go and take this fight, and if so, is it going to be worth it? How are we going to approach the situation? Are we going against a caustic team? Because that's just going to continue to delay the process a little bit more. So a lot of deciphering to do of information here, and it looks like from that they are going to probably back off and just look for something a little bit easier to approach.
Yeah, Cody, Muffins, and Petty have committed pretty strongly to playing the edge. They're running scanless here, and it's all about kind of relying upon the ring knowledge of Petty Boss and Muffins at this point. I know Cody, I feel like Cody's relatively new to the scene, but he has picked up really quickly from what I've seen from their scrims and such, that he's learning a lot, and he's gelled in with this team extremely well, and he's been an absolute fragger for them, as has been displayed across the last 2 games. And I think this is a roster that we really do have to keep an eye out for. Just the level of competitive experience coming out from both Petty Boss and Muffins is extremely high, but throwing in an extra fragger for them I think might be the missing key. Right now though, Shame Assist on the south side, they've got a team caught out inside the Hot Springs area, and they've got the high ground, but not too many angles to play off of. Sumo's going to try and find one here, taking a little bit of ring damage, but he'll be okay. He's on that Octane, of course, and does look like he might be looking to get very aggressive now. Spaceman has been cracked, but Sumo will be here to cut off any kinds of pushes, as he's keeping track of this team quite well, and realizes they backed away now over towards the fences.
So he's going to catch the player directly below him. There it is. That's the player that they needed to go and focus. His Muffins is going to knock off the screen. Look at the angle from Sumo. That aggressive play that you were talking about really starting to pay off. Looks like a portal is potentially being used for the team to get out of dodge, but if just one grenade lands over here, they're going to be in such a solid spot. Unfortunately for Sumo, they don't have any utility. Fearing's going to get a knock right there onto Garrett as well. And now the high ground angle is being taken from Sumo, so I like that play from Sumo, but we have to jump on board with this fight because it looks like Cody, Muffins, and Petty are about to finish this team off in the building that they were trying to focus before. Muffins is going to have to heal, but he's going to stop that one, come through, pick up the gold armor instead, and Cody's going to go in there with the finish. So unfortunately for Midnight and squad, they landed close to the zone, but they're going to go out in 16th place.
Oh, they do drop down, and it looks like third party might have actually come in. Cody will have that jump pad if they want to get up quickly, but it seems like it was just for the reset, that gold armor allowing Muffins to just hit one syringe, and he's good. And Petty Boss will get brought back into this game. You can see the ring pulling hard into Lava Fissure. Still a lot of rings that can be played off of this one, but the teams that are happy, it's going to be teams like Crummy's squad there on the southwest side. You can see as well on the northwest side, there's actually a lot of teams involved over there, and that's kind of the trappings of a Valkyrie lobby. You'll have a lot more teams playing what is quote unquote the slow side, and you can see it playing out over there with 5 squads currently taking place or taking position in the northwest side right now.
Looks like there's a rat on the opposite side of the bridge there. You can see Goat Karma and Raina trying to make their way over there. That was the concern that I was worried about for the teams inside of the buildings, because that's going to be really annoying to deal with. And then eventually that team's going to have to pick which building they're going to play outside of, on top of, you know, contest inside of, etc., etc. And that's going to be just a thorn in your side as you've been trying to lock down this area and trying to get over towards your end game. But that's just what you were talking about too with the Valkyrie. I mean, that's a rotation that is really smart. If you can't get inside of a building, your next best option is to play on the outside, and you can see another geyser rotation coming over through here. When you're playing over towards the slow ground, this is just an absolute death trap. A lot of teams don't want to be stuck over here, and you can see just the amount of damage that comes in right when they landed.
Nice nades coming out from Spaceman as they do commit to that res, and Sumo will be able to hit that battery as well throughout all of that, slowing down the push. And what a beautiful reset coming out from Shame Assist, but they're still in a tight spot now, stuck on the low ground here. They do have the Valkyrie redeploy along with the jump pads that they need to retake height, but that reset was just beautiful, and it all set up by Sumo and Xenox actually throwing down that bubble first. And so quick reactions, and it looks like they're getting ready to go for that Valkyrie redeploy.
And when you're looking at spots that are available right now, you're going to have to use that Valkyrie passive and focus on where this next zone's going to be. They may end up landing on that outside back area where Goat, Karma, and Rain were coming from too, because that's usually one of those viable options that you could play for. Lava Fissure, you will see teams laying inside of the lava as well, sitting over towards the bottom. Maybe they're going to be able to do something with an Octane bounce pad a little bit later and try to catch teams off guard, but it looks like a failed capture attempt comes in from Petty. At the same time, that could have been an escape mechanism too, because they're pinching between 2 teams.
Yeah, RCL, I have to imagine, is the team that's still inside this building. They've got all the caustic barrels down. Somehow, Cody, Muffins, and Petty are still alive. Their bubble will go down in just a moment as Buff Pathfinder are making a push. Dre picking up one, but now the third party coming in. Full 3-man showing up behind them as well. Dre just bleeding out, about to get finished off. Malice Mamba picking that one up onto Rain at the very least. We'll see if they can bounce back, but the third parties, you can see why it's so difficult to fight here in Lava Fissure, and this was that northern congestion you were talking about. All these Valkyrie teams, all these teams trying to rotate to the north side. Very difficult to play off of this. This can come out from them as they try to get that res, but Malice Mamba does finish off Rain. So it's a full 2v2, but Goat has to be careful. He goes for the peek by himself as Karma's just healing up. Bambino punishes that one from I don't even know where, and Buff Pathfinder actually get the reses, and they're going to be happy here securing themselves this building for the time being.
It's exactly what you were worried about if it was happening for Buff Pathfinder, but fortunately, Malice just did such a good job, and the cover was there as well as, ooh, nice Kraber shot right there onto Dan. Ack is feeling himself on the outside of the zone right here. Also has teammates inside the zone so he can continue to play the edge over here, force these teams out, try to pick up those kills along the way, and then he can make his way on back. But I love this off angle coming through as he's giving so much information to the rest of the squad.
Yeah, remember, Gamers got this position very early on, around ring number 1, and they've utilized it well. Securing that Kraber opens up a lot of opportunities for them. Chosen One going down to Aj as Sussy Bakas are trying to fight on the lower side of the platforms here. Just making sure that they're not taking too much damage and, you know, not overcommitting to this. A lot of teams still in the area. We have 10 squads alive, 28 players left. So I think it might be 2 teams currently playing this one out as duos. We'll get a better idea of that in just a moment, and we do have that final ring pull, and Gamers are absolutely loving what they're seeing. They're able to get that building early on. They have that high ground. They have all of the open ground to play off of. So this is going to be a beautiful position for them, as a lot of the teams are worried about just their rotation here. They're going to be stuck on these platforms, on these railings. How do they get out?
And you called it perfectly when they were down in the situation going on over towards the buildings on which building is the priority building to lock through. And if you're in between the buildings on where all the zones can pull, you're putting yourself in a really good situation. So they get rewarded with that big zone pull. But going back to Sussy Bakas, it's going to be a tough spot. They really don't have many options. And you're going to have to either you have to use your utility here. That's the only way you're going to be able to get out of this type of situation. Maybe it's going to be a Valkyrie. Maybe it's going to be something along the lines of a Caustic or a really good barrel along the way. But Rartihi, whereas for the previous game, trying to get it together inside of this bubble fight. Now it's only up to Chosen One. I don't think he's going to have enough as RCO swooping in with the third party. I mean, there's just so many teams left in this zone. You definitely think that more are going to be eliminated before this thing closes.
Here's Gamers holding down just the beautiful spot. You can see how much space that they actually have to work with now that they don't have to worry about the southern rotations. You can see all eyes are currently on the north right now. Cody picking up a kill onto Koala Bear as a lot of fighting taking place in the center of lava. And it's going to be important to be able to lock that one down. You can see it's still in. The ping's going down. That is still alive. Ack is biding his time right now. He wants to hit that heady, but misses that next one. He's only got 1 shot left in this Kraber. He should have something to fall back on. You know, as standard operating procedure, you'll have a shotgun or something laying in the wings for you. One last shot for Ack. Let's see what he gets.
And he's trying to focus the players that aren't looking at him. 145 in the back right there onto Holiday. I like that. They weren't aware of where the Kraber was coming from. He also gets the flush with that R301. Sedai gets taken down by Crummy, and the rest of RCO is starting to fall to the hands of Ack as he's going to finish off 2 throughout all of that. Really nice angles again. Off angles taken away from his teammates. Didn't hit all the Kraber shots in the world, especially in that last clip. I guarantee would probably hit those 9 times out of 10, but still picking up kills along the way is extremely crucial as we move into this final zone. 25 seconds until this thing starts to move, and Buff Pathfinder feeling pretty confident about the position that they're in.
Yeah, they still have to worry though about Gamers, but it looks like there's like a small truce coming out from both squads right now. They do have the buildings in between themselves, but it does seem like Gamers on the other side need to deal with them. They realize that, and so they're starting to go for the peaks, but the angles and the heady angles are here for Buff Pathfinder to challenge the roof angles at the very least, as Dre now working his way on up. They've got the cover of the missile swarm, but Bursty does have to be careful. Final ring closing in. We got 6 squads left, 15 players, all hell breaking loose as every tactical is being used throughout all of this. Gamers losing out on Ack, as it looks like they got pushed by a full squad and he was by himself below. Gamers had the God spot, gave it up because of the pressure coming out from Buff Pathfinder, now left to fight this one out as a duo. All the other squads making their way on in. During the meantime, we still have Petty Boss and Cody up. Don't see if Muffins is up throughout all of this, and so that might be one of the squads currently playing this one out as a duo.
Losing out on Act definitely sucks here for gamers, but they have to stay cool, and they have to realize they still are in the best position to win this game. As long as they hold the second floor, as long as they hold the roof. There was some serious miscommunication as Joy Boys portaled to the outside of the building. You could see that was their portal. They went from the donut over towards the outside. We even had the POV. Ooh, look at that caustic gas coming on over to where Cody and Petty are. That's going to be huge damage coming out. I believe that was Malice's. But the Valkyrie missile barrage is also connecting. Bubble's going to have to go down. And this is what it all comes down to. The zone is starting to close. You have to continue to hold this building on the second floor if you can. You can see Crummy taking on over towards the air. Whoever can hold this high ground is going to be feeling really good about themselves. Look at Gerard coming around the side with some serious damage, trying to get the flush, trying to get the armor swap, but you still have enemy go over towards the side of the roof. Hello, 3 players sitting over towards the bottom.
It's going to be the final 3v3. Buff Pathfinder coming up full health as the push out comes out from this squad, but they are stuck inside a Nox gas grenade. It's going to be a 1-for-1 exchange, but Bercy has gone down. Malice Mama the only one left, and his wingman shots connect, but he has no HP behind it. It's going to be the Joy Boys to take game number 3. And oh boy, Tom, these have been some amazing games, amazing late games.
You feel for gamers. I mean, Ack had such a good angle. He was playing a really aggressive. All of a sudden, Joy Boys portals to the outside of the building. So many teams are trying to get over towards that building. They need to just get over towards the roof, play the second floor. You have to give credit where credit's due, though. Joy Boys coming in all the way from the donut building with that perfectly placed portal, plus the teamwork over towards the end and the discipline to stay onto the low ground together as a team is what won them that game, and that was huge for them.
We've had 3 separate winners across 3 separate games with 2 left to go. The field is wide open to see who walks away with the $350 first place prize. We're going to go ahead and take a short break. When we get back, we'll have game number 4 of Series E after this.
Now, even the biggest headaches are toast.
Excedrin keeps your head in the game.
For no more throbbing noggins.
Excedrin, game over for headaches.
Joy Boys take the W in Game 3, and with no repeat winners through the first 3 games, it'll keep things very interesting on our Mobile 1 leaderboard here going into the final 2 of the first day of qualifiers. Welcome back, everybody. Yeso here. Let's check out our player of the game for game number 3 here. Pull that one up for you guys. It's been an interesting run so far. A lot of chaos in these later zones, and there's my man, Nazuda. I believe I'm pronouncing that correctly. I checked with my man on Discord today before the show. Wanted to make sure I was getting that right. 3 kills and an assist, and just short of 900 damage. My man here, we watched a lot of him on open nights in Season 3. They were playing under the title Asheras, and that was honestly a really promising squad there, but sadly things didn't work out. Now with a new team, Joy Boys looking really solid here on the first day. Want to see them coming back here throughout qualifiers. This is a squad that I think I have high hopes for going into Season 4 of SeriesE. Obviously some work to do to qualify, but I think they have some good chances here. And grabbing a win in game number 3 is going to feel good. Those 4 kills going to add some points to the total. So Joy Boys looking good. 2 games left to go. And the question is, with 3 different squads taking those first 3 games, likely if one of them can get a repeat win, that will set them apart big time here on the leaderboard tonight. So we'll see what they can do. Do want to remind you folks, if you guys ever need to know what's going on here at Esports Arena, check out our events, our calendars, where our locations are, any info you need about SeriesE, head over to esportsarena.com. We've got all that info for you, and you can certainly follow us on social media. We're at Esports Arena on Twitter and Instagram, facebook.com/esportsarenausa. We're going to go to a quick break. When we come back, we'll kick off the first of our final 2 games of the night.
Logo, even better.
I'm your host, as always, Yeso, joined by my co-host, Luke Shimone Brew.
There's a lot to unpack there. I don't even know where to start.
If one of the North American teams doesn't win, their 2021 season is done. I got my fingers crossed. I think you got this. Let's turn more towards the competitive side. They finished strong.
Like 35-2.
They finished strong.
Really if the only intent is, hey, let's make this game as esports as possible, then sure, but that's never going to be what Nintendo does.
And I'm very curious to see what kind of their first take on what a Valorant World Championship should look like.
Dang. That's super fun sounding.
Yeah, I think it's going to go.
That sounds super fun. I think that's like the
I'm fading!
One bad headache can crash your entire game.
Excedrin relieves headaches fast. Excedrin, game over for headaches.
Versus coming daily under pressure. Working on applying the scheme. The true style trademark is at the edge of your dreams. Yeah. One shot, now the future is yours. I'm turning dreams into reality. In the lab with the formula and chemistry. The memories spark and motivate and make the industry shake. With the bars and the breaks, I'm talking one chance that was so good for the go. It's one shot, now the future is yours. Go!
All right, welcome back, guys, to Series E. We've got 2 games left, 3 games down, and 3 separate winners across the night. So it's super important that we check in with the Mobile One leaderboard here at Series E to see where everyone stands in the final before we hit the final 2 games of the evening. So let's go ahead and check out the leaderboard to see who is currently in the lead. You got to remember that only the top 2 will be placing into the money, and currently those 2 squads, it's Buff Pathfinder along with Cody Muffins and Petty, who these 2 squads have been very consistent across the last 3 games so far. And it's going to be Buff Pathfinder with a 13-point lead with 2 games left to go.
They're being consistent with their third parties as we take a look at the Mobile One high performance moment. But there's a lot of things they're being consistent with. They're being consistent with getting over towards the zone with the third parties, the teamwork, the execution in their actual fights, picking up loot along the way as they're doing it as well. So the pace has been very, very fast the first 2 games. Game number 3, you can see there was a lot of congestion over towards this Lava Fisher side, and Buff Pathfinder with the nice plays over towards the outhand side. Malice with his caustic gas, remember that was just so well placed before this clip even happened, was extremely well done. But unfortunately, Buff Pathfinder didn't win this game as it was Joy Boys with the amazing portal play that we didn't get a chance to see on that Mobile One high performance, but that was the reason they got to that point to begin with.
Yeah, and a lot of factors came into it, right? Gamers who had that position, they had all of their attention on Buff Pathfinder right here, and for a good reason, but that left them very vulnerable to that port play that you were talking about, Tom. Let's go ahead and head into game number 4 of the evening, our final 2 now, with a lot on the line. We have to remember, these are cumulative points. Every point you earn here will work your way towards securing a spot in Series E. After our qualifiers, after all the games are done, only the top 5 teams will be securing a spot in Season 4 of Series E. So it's important to remain consistent. Make sure you have a good night. You don't have to win. You just have to make sure you're getting the points, Tom.
And if you want to keep pace with Buff Pathfinder and Cody Muffins and squad, you're going to have to, again, be playing at a really high level because we're seeing some really nice plays from these teams, specifically Joy Boys going. Is this where they originally landed? I didn't know that they were a team that went over towards the dome, but hey, this is one of those spots that you could get unlucky with the zones, but you need to make sure that you are looting and scooting immediately. Fortunately for them, zone is kind of close to them, so they don't have that far of a trek.
Yeah, it does seem like it's going to be a very hard southern pull, and there we go. We have the second ring as well, so a lot of launch site in play, but also a lot of lava siphon, and there are so many different pulls that can actually come out from this one. So if you're a team that's able to secure a beacon building at the very least, like you can see Spaceman and their team, they can play off of launch site for the next 2 rings to get a better feel for this. We'll see if they're allowed to do that, or if Stomps and Co. decide to actually run down to the south side. They don't really have to because they have a beacon on Lava Siphon actually taking a look at it now. So it's incredibly important that Stomps and them were able to win out on their 50-50 and secure Lava Siphon and all this loot and start positioning themselves to be able to bully teams away from this beacon.
No doubt about it. And now you can see the rotation already coming in from Joy Boys too. And you have to be really happy after you get your win in game number 3 and see a zone come down here because you got that win all the way over towards that Lava Fisher side without playing on a Valkyrie. You did it with an amazing portal play. So great job by them. We'll see if they can continue that momentum going into this game because, hey, only 2 games remain here. You can see game 4 or 5 in the bottom right. And we're going to be going through each day trying to pick up as many points as possible because it's not just about first and second place for that money like you were talking about, Jamerson. It is the cumulative points as we touched base on. So every game really does matter. You don't want to try to have any goose games. Try to average, anywhere from 6 to 8 points a game is typical to try to get you in that qualification area.
Literally vibing over here at Survey Camp. That ends up just being a full sentence, but they are here and they have a squad ahead of them and they're trying to work the angles. It's just unfortunate because it's difficult to play off of this because you don't know if maybe an epicenter team comes or the refinery team shows up, and as much as you want to try and full commit, you also have to worry of the skyhook rotation. This is exactly what we're talking about. Cody, Muffins, and Petty, they hear the shooting, they hear the nades, they hear everything. They show up for this to try and get involved in this third party, but they're showing up a little bit early, so this is kind of scary. But there's the first knock. Captain Chewie going down. Petty Boss is feeling himself on this Wraith, and I like the kind of evolution of Petty Boss over the last 2-3 seasons of Series E, seeing him play a bit more aggressive, you know. This is a player that, you know, I've been following since basically Season 0 of Apex Legends, and he has grown immensely in that time.
Being able to play aggressive is just the key to opening things up as Wraith, so Petty's been able to do that phenomenally, as you can see, just pushing through, getting the rest of these kills and the kill lead as well. 3 on over there for Petty Boss with 434 damage already. Great start for Cody Muffins and Petty, who I believe are sitting in second place currently behind Buff Pathfinder. Tonka with a really nice Nox Gas Grenade right there, but just not able to do as much damage as he was hoping for. Wingman with the EVA 8 just by a solo, though, as Sumo coming through with the Nox, and you can see multiple players on the other side over here. This is going to be third party on top of third party.
Yeah, they're getting flanked from the west, they're getting flanked from the east. Cruising trying to hit that res. This is a rough spot. This is a tough spot for them to be in, but oh, it doesn't seem like it. Tonka does not have the stuff. They're going to get knocked out. Otama picking up those kills.
The thing is you see those shots too. 45, 45, just doing a great job. All of a sudden, door opens from behind, immediate one clip, and that's just the bait and switch right there. Nothing you could do, no matter how skilled you are when you hit those shots. If you just don't have your teammates there, no amount of barrels are going to save you. These teams are definitely going to push in. Otama doing the right thing, taking their time. Yes, Dank took a decent amount of damage, but they're going to be able to reset with all this loot inside.
And this is a priority building as well. For a zone like this, this should be a fairly predictable zone for most of our squads, especially if they can pick up ring number 3 along the way. But holding that platform is incredibly strong. And for a squad like Otama, they have to know how to hold this one down. And having the added benefit of this extra loot boxes and everything to play off of is going to make it that much easier for them to hold. As the early game scramble is starting to slow down just a bit. We're already down to 15 teams. So the pace of these qualifiers keeping up so far. It's been non-stop action almost the entire way through every single game.
Really has, and we saw in game number 3 it play a little bit differently here. Here we're seeing a lot more kind of burst plays coming out from teams. It all really depends on how the zone's going to play too. And previously we were switching on over to teams that was just Valkyrie rotation after Valkyrie rotation. Here it's really not going to look like that. I think a lot more teams are going to elect to play edge and then slowly make their way in based on the zone. For Otama, they're most likely not going to see much action unless they end up shooting the death boxes in front of them. But for them, most likely going to be a little bit more chill along the way as teams start to fight their way for positioning. RCO seems to be one of those teams. Joyboy has made their moves as well.
Wavy John going down to RCO, and you know RCO's been fairly gifted. 2 squads that pulled up to their north, and so having a very southern pull, this is going to test them just a bit. And we'll see how they position for this one on their rotate. They are one of the more northern teams. They'll be arriving a little bit late, but the Joy Boys for now somehow actually able to secure a spot inside Lava Siphon. I was expecting some camping over that beacon, but literally vibing, getting out of dodge. You know, they had Cody Muffins and Petty showing up to the fight that they were eyeing up for some time now, but they're just going to rotate around in the zone. They've got to be careful there. Dropping a little bit low, but the syringes should be in time for them to top off. And you can see that they need to find this cursory loot. And there it is. There's the upgrade for CD there as he picks up the blue armor at the very least. They can craft in the zone if they need to, and they might have to pick up these extra meds.
Looks like they are going to be able to do that, and everyone's going to be A-okay for the most part with, again, just the early rounds closing over here. I'm still anticipating teams to do exactly what literally Vibings do. I think this is a pretty sound strategy based on this zone over here. They've been pretty solid with their team fighting overall, and their timing when it comes down to actually taking fights has been pretty impressive. Goat and Karma going to double team one player and take down Rushia. Sussy Bakas is laying down some cover fire all the way from across the map, and R301, gold R301 coming in for Goat over here, rocking the R400. This has to feel good for Goat. He's going to be playing extremely confident.
We've talked a lot about Season 0 of Apex tonight, and this was my loadout. The R3, R9, getting that R400. Love that combo. The addition, of course, of Big Mod, having those golden weapons to really be able to really secure and have a foundational drop is fantastic. We saw, of course, startings of that at the beginning of, I don't even remember. I want to say like season 5 or season 6, when Survey Camp was added, right? You would have those guaranteed gun spawns. And so you can kind of guarantee what you want to start your loadout with. That's why some teams still take Survey, even though the loot's kind of garbage there. But here we go, on board with High Rollers, who are trying to hold out over inside Dome for now. If they want, they can send Goat back to try and pick up that beacon, but it does seem like the presence of some squads keeping them a little bit scared. But we'll see if they actually go for that sky. I think with it being zone number 2, they have a huge opportunity to do that, especially committing to the edge here. It makes it much more easier for them to rotate. But here we are on board with Team Select now. Down by Tree of all places, catching out a team that's trying to rotate into launch from that connecting area. That Fruit Ninja and Euban are there trying to find an angle. Matt Pickett will be showing up with that G7 Scout. We've seen roller players absolutely dominate with the G7 Scout. We'll see if Matt Pickett has what it takes to keep up pace with all the others. Right now, that squad is just backing away, and Matt Pickett is losing out on these trades. He's down to just 1 bat now.
Pickett is one of the stronger skirmish players that we have here. Euban as well. So I'd love to see Select continue to pop off over here. They haven't found the fights cleanly as they were hoping for. Look at the Prowler shots across the map right there coming in for Euban. Gonna pop a couple of cells. Goat in the meanwhile is putting in work with that gold R301 R400 combo. So like we were saying, he was definitely looking like one of the stronger players on the map right now and continuing to live up that name. But this fight, you have to be careful with this fight. Once you start doing these long range fights for quite some time, someone else is going to capitalize on that, and that's why Crispy Bacon is focusing as hard as possible, connecting for so much damage with that wingman. But you can see player outlines are coming through. He's getting flanked.
Oh my goodness, Crispy Bacon gets 2 pumped by Fat Fruit Ninja throughout all of that LKM. Now just scrambling to try and survive. Bacon's already been finished off as now Team Select are starting to find their angles here, backing away just for the full reset. They've already got the thirst. They know it's going to stay a 3v2, and a flank showing up. And so the discipline for Team Select is going to keep them alive as they just back away once again. They'll be afforded the opportunity if they want to with this port to try and get aggressive once again and finish off the final 2 players. But it's all about, of course, maintaining a good presence, maintaining your position, having that building to fall back on, and worrying about the third parties. You have the ultimate excels going down for Fat Fruit Ninja as well. If he has a second one and that gold helm, he should be able to get it in time. The zone is closing up here, and so that squad that was over by Tree, they're going to be forced out into these buildings. So Team Select are just biding their time, waiting to see what this team decides to do.
I love this idea. They need to focus the team behind them, force that team off, say, hey, it's time for you guys to rotate. These are our 2 kills. Meanwhile, one person needs to keep an eye on that banner so they don't just get whooped and swooped from behind over there with a quick little banner grab. So I love this play coming through. They have to force this off, and then they could focus on the other team behind them once that team gets stuck inside of the building. And that's exactly what they're thinking. That is just about the timing for the banner to disappear. Euban's going to come around with the flank, and now these players are split. Perfect opportunity for Select to pick up some kills. The Messiah with the 1 clip with the Prowler over towards the side. That's the last thing that you want. Now the team from behind sees that bubble go down. Both bubbles are going to go down, and these teams are on the verge of getting third party.
And there's gas inside that bubble, so Select might be able to get the res, but it's a third party from either side as KJ Che shows up, swinging in Trinal. Really pulling to my heart here as he pulls out that Pathfinder, has to back away though, getting that knock onto Matt Pickett. He needs to heal up, hitting that shield battery inside the car. He should be safe. Mochi needs to heal up as well, and so looks like the third party only netting them 1 kill for now as Euban gets finished off by a defensive bombardment coming out from the team that was rotating through trees. So, wow, what a quick push. What a quick third party coming out from KJ Shea.
Love that third party too, and it was just so awesome to see Trinal because we're casting Play Pathfinder. I know that he did it just for us, so big shout out to Trinal for busting that one out. But they knew that third party was coming. As soon as Euban goes down, you were just not expecting it coming in from both sides. And it's unfortunate because Euban died in about half a second, and that's just that DPS from the Prowler coming through, and Messiah really clutching it up there and stopping Team Select from continuing to just run things on that tree side of the map. So unfortunately for Select, that's just how the games have been going for them. They are looking good. They have a kill. All of a sudden, things don't go their way. A team comes in from behind for the third party, and then a fourth party comes in. and then they lost their players.
You can see we have a lot of presence of teams on the northwest side right now. Still not in the zone with 30 seconds left to go. RCO are looking to just play gatekeepers. You can see they have Trinal and Mochi in them right below. So we might have a 3v3 taking place. Oz showing up behind them as well, along with Gain and Obsessed. And RCO, they've got that turtle composition. They've got the Caustic to really hold down that platform. So we'll see how long they decide to just play off that for now. Joy Boys, though, trying to creep up through Lava Siphon as they make their way on out. It looks like they are safe, but this ring will be pulling away from them. But this is just a neutral position. As they await the ring close, they'll realize that this one does pull away to that open area between launch site and the dome. One of the best spots being taken for that ring currently is going to be our second place team, Petty Boss and Muffins and Cody, as Joy Boys starting to creep up onto this RCO position.
Similar to what was happening to RCO in previous games where they're locked inside the building. They've been picking good spots early. They have the composition with Caustic to be able to do so. But Joy Boys has been playing similar, where they play the edge. Anything that you can get at any given point in time is what you take in these type of situations, especially with the amount of different rings that are moving out. We'll see if Gaines is going to end up having a battery throughout all of this, but right now, without that bubble, without having much heals, he's going to need something. There's his boy throwing a battery on over towards his way. Meanwhile, Buff Pathfinder trying to fight on the outskirts right now. Looks like Bursty doesn't have that Valkyrie redeploy, so they're not going to be able to skip on over this quite yet. A minute and 30 seconds until the zone's going to be moving, so they don't necessarily have to take this fight unless they want to, but the damage is coming through, and Malice is going to have to do something fantastic here. Keep in mind, with the utility coming up here very soon, you don't really want to take this fight 100%. You want to make sure that you're utilizing everything that you have to its maximum capabilities over here. So Malice, if he wants to go and wait for that Nox gas grenade, all he has to do is toss that one over towards the side. They may not even have to bubble to Valkyrie redeploy, and they may even be able to win that fight fairly clean just with that utility alone. Meanwhile, RCO just gets absolutely stomped all of a sudden by Midnight Mochi in the KJJ team. Holy goodness, they played confident over towards the side for that third party, but taking that 3v3 was impressive.
And you can see in the meantime, Buff Pathfinder realizes that the fight is taking place to their north, so it's a little bit free for them to try and set up this angle on the squad that is stuck inside the tunnel. Eventually, they will get these kills just by pressuring them and making sure that they are contained inside of that. You can see Malice Mamba already setting up the barrels on either side, or trying to get them at least, onto either side of that tunnel exit. Make sure that they're contained there, because that's the only spot that they can play. That ping that went down from Bursty right there, that's where they need to play off of. And so they need to make sure that this team can't contest them for it. So right now, it's all about choking them out. But KJ Shea now making another push. This is going to be Obsessed, I believe, in Gains in them on the other side. Aj going down to 2v1. KJ Shea picking up the action here as Trinal almost goes down, but they will be able to secure that and start getting the res. It's a gold bag res just in time. But here it is, Buff Pathfinder making sure that their gatekeeping up gets this squad coming out from the tunnel right now. Defensive bombardment's already been used. There is the bubble as well. Malice Mamba is caught out just a bit, but oh, that is a beautiful arc star as Bursty is forced back. Dre tries to play front line, but now Bursty will fall. There's only one left. Never mind, it's Gamers cleaning them up, as they will be able to get the armor swaps quickly. They only lose out on Crummy, but they at least survive the fray for now. We've hit the top 8 here as the northern scramble comes out. The Sussy Bakas are holding out onto that platform outside of launch site here, and got a good amount of utility to throw in. There's a defensive bombardment from Mika B just as that bubble will going down, forcing out the slide. Big connects, but no knocks quite yet. They are vulnerable, and there it is. The connects onto the armor as they start pushing up. They don't want to give this away quite yet, and so they're going to allow, of course, cooler heads to prevail and back away. Sussy Bakas are another one of our squads currently like in the top 5, as Gamers have an angle to play off of here.
With just Crummy, or with Crummy already down, and NME, I believe, running fairly low on heals too. You can see he went for the armor swap. He didn't have time. He went for the banner as well and didn't even have time to loot. So this is a tough situation to be in. Meanwhile, you still do have Muffins, Cody, and squad all alive too, and they've been picking up some serious kills along the way. Petty's been popping off over here. Armor swap coming through, but that's going to be all they needed to go and continue to get loot. on the gamer side. So really nicely done, working just as a two-person squad over here. Axe been taking some off angles. You can see enemies been just working with that Gibraltar, taking every single head glitch possible. And now they're going to back off. The heat is just a little bit too much, and hopefully with all that commotion, one of the other teams is going to add pressure on the team in front of them. So just huge plays coming out from gamers. You really can't ask for any more awareness than that. Like, they realize that there's a team on that high ground over there, and this team is putting so much pressure on them, but the closer that you get, the easier it is for them to take you out. So just trying to separate yourself is the best thing possible, because hopefully another team is going to get distracted. But Koala and the Sussy Bakas are not distracted. They recognize the situation, the easy cleanup right there, and that was fairly quickly as well. Meanwhile, Cody Muffins and Petty find themselves in another fight over towards the side.
Yeah, they realized that Cody Muffins and Petty were actually involved in this scramble, and so they decide they're going to take their 2v2 while this 2v2 takes, or excuse me, 3v2 takes place over here. So now it's going to be the final 3 squads remaining, as just a rat running around. Sussy Bakas trying to converge upon Muffins' team. They do have that high ground. Koala is trying to play off this. They do have the barrels as they're trying to hop them out. Shinny takes the high ground angle. Misses out in just a moment, hitting for the gold armor here. Koala continuing with the aggression, but he gets cracked and is forced back. Shinny needs to hold the angle, but no! Muffins finds it, gets the knock onto Mikabe. It's going to be a 3v2v1 now, and Cody, Muffins, and Petty about to pick up a win here in game number 4. It's all about finishing this off cleanly. There it is. Koala Bear goes down. There's only one left on the other side, and Cody, Muffins, and Petty will take the win in game number 4.
Overall team effort, but at the end of the game right there, you have to give so much credit on over to Muffins for the head glitch that he had. You could see that they were pushing up right there. They thought that was free. All of a sudden, Gibraltar peeks out. He's got his little man bun in the back, and he's ripping nothing but straight headshots right there. Switching on over to the EVA 8 right there, too, was really huge. He almost took down 2 players just from that one head glitch alone.
And with that, that should be their squad finally taking that first place spot as we head into the final game of the evening. We're going to take a short break. When we get back, we'll check in with the Mobile One leaderboard to see if that seems to be true. So don't go anywhere, guys. You're not going to want to miss the final game of the day.
I'm fading!
One bad headache can crash your entire game.
Excedrin relieves headaches fast. Excedrin, game over for headaches.
Welcome back, everybody. Cody, Muffins, Petty able to grab a victory there in game number 4, and we're keeping the train running. No duplicate wins yet. We'll have to see if we maybe get one here in the final game of the day. Jamerson mentioned that this may bump them up into first place in the Mobile One leaderboard. We will find that out when we go back to them, but let's check out our play of the game here for game number 4. We'll bring this one up for you. It's going to go to Petty Boss, 7 kills, 4 assists as well, and just south of 1,900 damage there. Really good look for this squad. They were crushing it during the qualifying round, coming in, carrying some great momentum into the finals here and able to get a win here in game number 4. So they're going to be feeling really good, putting some good points on the board here today. This is definitely a squad with some well-known names. Petty Boss and Muffins are ones that I definitely know very well from getting to see them across the scene. And this is definitely a squad you should keep your eye on throughout these qualifiers. I think they're going to continue to be very, very dangerous on a night-to-night basis. So keep an eye on them, and we'll have to see if maybe they can grab first place here tonight. Some big points on the line, so we'll see what they can do. Do want to remind you guys, if you want to get in on the qualifiers, we're running them again tomorrow night and for the next 3 weeks after this one. Make sure to head over to matchareno.com/ESA to sign up right away. Okay, get on that. We're going to go to a quick break. When we come back, Tom and Jamerson will get you ready for the final game of the day. What's going on, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Eat, Speak, Compete.
Eat, speak, compete.
Yes.
Name, incredible. Logo, even better.
And I'm your host, as always, Yeso, joined by my co-host, Luke Shimone Brew.
There's a lot to unpack there. I don't even know where to start.
If one of the North American teams doesn't win, their 2021 season is done. I got my fingers crossed. I think you got this. Let's turn more towards the competitive side. They finished strong.
Like 35-2.
They finished strong.
Really if the only intent is, hey, let's make this game as esports as possible, then sure, but that's never going to be what Nintendo does.
And I'm very curious to see what kind of their first take on what a Valorant World Championship should look like.
Dang. That's super fun sounding.
Yeah, I think it's going to be awesome.
That sounds super fun. I think that like
All right, welcome back, guys, to Series E. We have one game left for tonight's qualifying games, and we also have $500 on the line. Like we said, $350 will be going to first place, with $150 going to second place. So let's check in with the leaderboard to see who is closest to securing that right now. And we have a two-way race currently between Cody Muffins Petty and Buff Pathfinder. But it's Cody Muffins and Petty with the lead by 4 points. And it's in no way secured, as we still have Sussy Buck is there, Tom, in third place with 39 points, well within reach of both of these squads.
And keep in mind, it's not just about tonight for that cash. It's all about trying to make sure that you are getting in that cumulative leaderboard and placing inside of the top 5, I believe it is what we're going to take for qualifying into Season 4. And if we're looking at that, look at how many teams are in the vicinity. Not just that, teams directly behind those teams like RCO and Joy Boys have been playing phenomenal so far, and they're still just sitting at 8th and 9th place with 24 points respectively each.
Yeah, and really, that's just one big win that can easily propel you up into the top 3, top 4. So they are well within reach. So like we said, a lot on the line, but you also have to be able to run the long game. The marathon is still super important. I'm glad that we kind of took this pace, having the qualifiers run across multiple weeks and picking out the top 5 squads. We've been iterative in our in terms of qualifications for how Series E works, and I am very happy with this one. Let's take a look at the Mobile 1 high performance moment of game number 5, as we had plenty, but it was Sussy Bakas here
Watch the head
trying
glitch
to get the full 3v3, and yeah, instantly the tables get turned on Koala.
Just look at this head glitch. All you see is man bun sticking out. You don't even see anything else. You really don't. And it's just so much damage that comes out immediately. And it's all because of Muffins. And then not only that, the immediate knock right there, just the presence of mind to take their time, relocate, make sure everybody's full. Once they find out where that next player is, immediate collapse. Like you said, Petty's been playing extremely aggressive. And there it is. Just such a clean wipe there. Nobody really took any damage.
And that was the instant Uno reverse card coming out. Sussy Bakas were not expecting it there in the final end game. And she's hit him with the reverse, draw 4. They got the win at the end. But will they be able to maintain this pace? They've been amazingly consistent, putting on points every single game. I feel like there wasn't a game where they weren't within about the top 5 or top 6. And that's the kind of consistency we really need to see in this is something like Series E, where it is a long format, right? Where you're trying to secure your spot. You're trying to maintain that top 4 to move on to the next season and continue to be a partnered squad. So these are really great signs for this team so far. But like you said, Tom, we're also seeing a lot of talent really making their names here at Series E.
What I like to see is that the way that the qualification process works means that you have to show up every single day, right? Because when it comes down to Series E, you're going to have to play every Tuesday and Wednesday anyway. So might as well show your consistency now and show that you're going to be serious coming through here. And yes, playing a lot of Apex, but that's what it's about. And if you want to go and take your game to the next level, that's how you have to do that. You have to play inside of this, and you have to make sure that you're learning as much as possible with the ever-changing meta and with all the different things that Apex has to offer and working with your team overall. And we're really seeing 2 teams right now that are kind of rising above the rest, but we've only played 4 overall. But still, you can see the way that Cody Muffins Petty are playing, they're playing extremely well, and the way that the Buff Pathfinder is playing is on another level right now. And I'm looking forward to seeing which of these other teams is kind of going to step up and try to make their name in the running to try to take first or second place from one of these teams.
And this is some of the best performance we're seeing out of those 2 squads, right? From Buff Pathfinder, along with Cody Muffins and Petty. With the addition of Cody, I feel like it is absolutely just a slaying squad. I love to see it. And we're on board with Cody Muffins and Petty. They're dropping over here by Climatizer. Surprisingly enough, this addition to this newest addition to World's Edge has been hotly contested. So many teams want this POI spot. We saw Cloud9 shifting away from Fragment West, taking Climatizer for themselves as well, and teams are utilizing it really well to different success rates.
And like you said, the aggressive play that they come through just complements with Muffins and his anchor play immediately. When we looked at that Mobile 1 high performance from the previous game, as we take a look at the zone, you could see possibly a crazy Geyser pull, which, is anyone even landing Geyser, Jamerson, this entire time?
No. We've had like 3 or 4 teams splitting Frag West and Frag East. But it looks like, yeah, Geyser is completely free.
Geyser's
so
not
if any
that bad
teams
of a
want to
spot.
be... I'm thinking maybe someone like Goat might be running Southside Geyser, taking some of the buildings and then running down to Big Mod, and then the team that's playing over by No Name is dropping someone, taking Northside Geyser and then running back. That is something that happens sometimes, but Shame Assist get into a fight down here, down by launch site. They've already picked up the kills. We're already down to 17 squads. This is crazy. The ring hasn't even started closing yet. Teams aren't even rotating yet.
Yeah, teams are, getting into that demon mode time where it's getting late at night, and this is how their ranked games normally go. So they're just like, all right, boys, let's just full send this one. And that's exactly what you're seeing right now. Game 5, Game 6 in all of Series E typically just is an all-out bloodbath. Everyone puts the pedal to the metal, except for the teams that are really searching for that first and second place, because everyone knows they need big games. Jamerson, what are they, 20 points behind? So that means that if you're not going to come out right from the get-go, picking up kills, and you're not wiping squads, and then you come down to 10 squads left, mathematically, you can't even make it. So that's why teams just go so absolutely crazy in these final games, because they're trying to make sure that they get on top of that leaderboard.
Yeah, there are multiple approaches, right? You could just try to, count this as not the greatest of nights. Make sure you just get a few points here and just call it a night, and then come back, bounce back tomorrow. As of course, again, there's going to be a lot of Apex in play. If we have qualifying rounds, you need to play the first 5 rounds before we even get to the broadcast. Here are the Joy Boys currently trying to fend off a team coming out from Big Mod right now. Aj spots one out, but he's instantly forced to Q. Going for that wide peek up against 2 high ground angles is not going to work out for you. So he backs away off of that. Does he have the heals, though, is the big question. He has not popped anything quite yet. That's because he's fighting. Getting the knock onto Karma, and now finding the moment to hit himself a cell. Obsessed is getting shot up from behind. He has to be careful as he backs away. He's got the stim at least to create some distance here. And Aj and Gaines holding the angles for now, but Gaines is forced to use that use that bubble for himself. So no ground really taken here as reses have come out, and now Obsessed is going to try his hand at going for the peak here as Oz just trying to reset now. Very aggressive play coming out, but the Joy Boys need to get out from being in the middle of nowhere here. And so looks like these 2 squads are going to coexist for the time being at Big Mod, and we'll see for how long.
Oh no, it's going to be Gaines going down to Karma, and like you said, that just took a little bit too long, and the reset was able to come through. And unfortunately for Aj, he was just 26 damage away from getting that blue armor, which I guarantee if he was feeling a little bit more confident about that armor, he probably would have played a sliver bit more aggressive, which they were already full sending that one, so can't really play that even more aggressive than he already was. Meanwhile, they're going to be able to just feel good about that, backing off and getting GOAT right back into this game, and also getting control of, like you said, the rig and holding things down over here with a 2 versus 3 situation is absolutely crucial with the zone and the way that it's moving. Meanwhile, in that kill feed, you can see Midnight actually picks up a couple of kills for Mochi, so we're down to already 16 squads.
Now, big thermite, but cross angle being set up, and Obsessed goes down. GOAT find that one clip onto him, and going to be able to finish them off instantly there. As it looks like Rain, GOAT, and Karma just get the full reset, and they'll be able to maintain control over this. Another team showing up from the Geyser side here, or it might just be the last player in this squad, but the action has been extremely fast. We're already down to 15 teams as round 1 is finishing up closing, but for this squad, they picked up the kill points, and it looks like they're even going to get a drop. So this is one of the greatest starts, really, to game number 5 that you can have.
I just also want to commend them on their names, making it so much easier for us casters. Jamerson, Karma, GOAT, and Rain, all words that I can pronounce and read extremely well, all names that will definitely stick in your head. If you see a guy named GOAT running around, you'll be like, all right, what's up with GOAT? But also keep in mind, GOAT was running a different composition before this. He was playing on Bloodhound, so they switched on over to the Valkyrie, and they've been playing different styles every single time. I'm looking forward to kind of seeing how their team develops, because that was a pretty solid fight against a team that was sitting in 7th and 8th place, and now we'll see if they're going to be able to continue to climb up on that leaderboard. And that's tough for Joy Boys, because they're on the outside looking in, right on that bubble, right on that top 5 area. Unfortunately, they're one of our first teams to be taken out. Triangle also in your kill feed is getting dropped by Spaceman as Tonka's locking things down over towards this Harvester side. Makes you wonder if they're going to end up going for a 3rd party over here.
Yeah, we've got another fight taking place. Shame Assist, I believe, were here last time around, along with Pathfinder. Spaceman's the only one up for his squad. Scan out with the Beast of the Hunt, popping that entire time. They get finished off, and it's the instant res, but another 3rd party shows up from the choke to the north. Spaceman with a quick armor swap, but he's going to have to give up on his teammates as he runs into another full squad. Spaceman tries to get underneath, but Team Select show up to pick that one up. And now it looks like Team Select looking for another 3v3. They have not had the greatest of nights so far. They've put up points, but they want more. Like we said, when it comes down to game 5s, it is going to be demon hours, and we see teams trying to go for the big 20-kill games. We'll see if Team Select can do that right now, but they're running out of time. Half the lobby, basically, already gone. You've been holding the angle on the door. Has to be careful as Fat Fruit Ninja gets focused down. Forced to bubble up as Yuban needs to cover that door, but they're flanking from the other side. Here comes the bubble on the other team. Matt Pickett gets 2, Cruisin' and Kimchi down. Yuban will fall, but Fat Fruit Ninja and Matt Pickett are here to try and finish him off. Enemy should be going down, but oh boy, he's doing some Valkyrie things, getting some caught up on that door. Unfortunately, Fat Fruit Ninja finishes them off. Now he's going to be able to get the res.
Crazy play from Fat Fruit Ninja, just going to res out in the open because he realized, hey, if we're not getting shot at right now, I might as well go for it because not only do I need to get this one, I need to get another, and the block is hot right now. There were so many teams on over towards the Snake side, and Select, one of the teams that have been getting third-party nonstop throughout all these fights, are finally able to go and win a big team fight. But you have to give so much credit to Matt Pickett right there for taking the high angle directly above the bubble and just sitting and preying on the entire team as they walked out. He almost mopped all 3 players, not by himself. Yes, everybody else was distracting, but the way that Pickett was able to angle himself right there was huge for that team fight.
And they're going to be the beneficiaries of a beacon as well, and already coming to the edge. That's a huge bonus to have, cleaning up that team fight here in round number 2. And so we know this is going down to Lava City. It should be pulling over that way. There's a chance that maybe it goes over towards Geyser, but Lava City is going to be the big bet for most squads. Right now, though, Cody, Muffins, and Petty, they know that they're in first place. They're not putting themselves into those vulnerable spots. They're taking things slow, coming down from Climatizer, working their way through Fragment East right now, picking up whatever secondary loot that they can. It does seem like there is a squad just outside of No Name. Ping's going down. Muffins hitting some decent shots with that G7 Scout, and they don't really want to risk too much. They have a decent lead going into this game, 4 points in first place. They've been amazingly consistent all night long as well, hitting top 5 multiple times, and it's just business as usual for them.
Exactly, and they've been playing so well over towards the edge. Again, there's no reason to kind of switch it up over here. You're already doing extremely well. Look for team fights on the outside, wait for third parties, and wait for opportunities to go and make your collapse and make your play over here. And still, not really much doing in this game, unfortunately. A lot of the fighting has taken place on the opposite side of the map, so they're going to have to relocate and find exactly where they want to go and play. But you know what? They may eventually run into Buff Pathfinder and a little bit later on throughout that rotation, because you can see that Valkyrie rotation over towards the chokes. One of the teams is going to have to make their way towards the other choke unless they decide they want to make their way uphill over here. So this could go one of 2 ways. Really, Buff Pathfinder could get distracted by another team, or they could end up just running directly into Petty, Cody, and Muffins.
Yeah, and we have to remember, these are the top 2 squads in the lobby right now. Buff Pathfinder along with Cody, Muffins, and Petty. But you have to imagine, with the experience that Petty and Muffins bring, they realize that that's a Valkyrie team coming from the north. That's more than likely Buff Pathfinder. They've been playing Edge when it comes down to these southern zones. So they're going to try and give them a wide berth. They do not want to allow Buff Pathfinder to close the distance on them. They have to just stay alive. They have to wait to see them on the kill feed, and then they can make a move. And so it looks like for the time being, Buff Pathfinder are going to shadow them. You can see them kind of running parallel to them. And they're going to try and control choke after choke. Maybe even a lurk play coming out from Buff Pathfinder here.
I like that. The pace of this game has been really, really quick. So why not kind of set up some sort of ambush? And while you're doing that, you're also being aware of potential third parties that have been coming up. But Banshee ends up getting scanned. He's going to queue all the way back over towards his team, which may not have been 100% necessary, but it also allows them to kind of push up and get a little bit of a bait going on with Sedai and Jaren, and literally Vibin now somehow is backing off on this fight. They had a huge advantage. There was so much open ground for the enemy team to cover, but the Arc Star just connects for so much damage. That's a full send if I've ever seen one, and Banshee just turns the fight immediately in their favor.
Wow, what a quick turnaround. They took almost no damage throughout all of that, but here it is. Action taking place over at Lava Siphon right now. Cody Muffins, they've already gotten 2 knocks. Messiah going down, actually, just the 1 knock finishing him off. That's the Thirst. Buff Pathfinder are keeping an eye on this. They know that the fighting's taking place here. Cody, Muffins, and Petty, they cannot lose out on anyone. As you can see, they're expertly playing around this bubble. They've got the man advantage as well. Buff Pathfinder are still waiting for this, though, hoping that someone goes down, but going to be an expert, clean fight coming out from this squad. They're going to be able to just thwart this third party in just a moment. Petty Boss has to queue out because of that Arc Star. Now he has to try to decide where he goes for this one. Muffins is holding down the door for him, making sure that they're able to back away. It was a very tense situation for a moment there, but they survive and they don't get third partied. And they also get a kill on the board, actually increasing the lead they have over Buff Pathfinder.
They may have picked up a couple along the way. I'm not quite sure how many actually they were able to get on the board, but one of those small plays that I loved from Petty was as he hit his Q, which was also perfectly timed, he doubled back, realized that he had enough time to go and check where this player was, and then make his way back on over towards the door, just in case he wanted to get extra valuable information as he was sitting inside of that phase. But switching on over to Buff Pathfinder, that team that is sitting directly behind Cody, Muffins, and Petty, they are finding themselves on the outside looking in here, Jamerson. Yes, they do have Valkyrie, they do have the redeploy, but this fight is a little complicated.
Oh boy, someone showing up behind them as well. They've got to be careful now. Defensive bombardment is going to force Bursty down onto the low. And like you said, they're on that Valkyrie. They can just go ahead and use that redeploy to get out of here. You can see why as well. The armor advantage going over in favor of Cody, Muffins, and Petty right now with that red, with the purples. And Petty Boss going for the peaks. And yeah, and I've been loving the aggression that he has been taking. And oh, it is paying off. Forcing out the bubble. And you can see, he knows he can go for the reset. They can just go ahead and start throwing down nades. But a defensive bombardment has been used by Buff Pathfinder. Find them some more time. But that utility is going to run out, and that means that they're going to have another pass stuck down on the low ground here. Their opportunity to redeploy is absolutely gone now. Bursty might be the first one to fall here. Caught mid-air, and here come the nades out from Cody, Muffins, and Petty. And if they get this killed, this might just be an absolute secure for them, as we have hit top 7. Malice Mama's down. Dreza goes down as well, and that is basically it for them. We've hit top 7. They've taken out 2 of their major competitors here. And so they'll have a freer rotation coming in with this zone.
We're really fortunate to be able to see the game from an outside perspective and see all the player outlines to make the decisions a little bit easier. But right there, best case scenario, most likely would have been the Valkyrie redeploy out of there just based on the angle of that fight right there for Buff Pathfinder. And unfortunately for them, they didn't realize who was hunting them down. It was Cody, Muffins, and Petty, the team sitting in first place. So you got to give credit to where credit's due. Just again, the aggressive play from Petty, coming through with that L-Star, forcing the team over towards the low ground. Arc Stars on top of that, pinching them, forcing the bubble, having the discipline not to drop down there early, forcing defensive bombardment, making sure once all that utility is gone, then they're going to double back and try to secure this one and finish that off, and that's exactly what they did.
Yeah, we're just seeing a masterclass and just, good fundamental Apex Legends coming out from this squad. And does translate, of course, with the wealth of experience coming out from this team. Players that have been basically competing since day number 1, with the exception of Cody, but he's slotted in expertly into this squad. We do have the ring pulling up to the north side of lava. It's going to be that mini dome ending as Petty Boss finds himself another player. That's going to be Ghost Squirrels going down, and he picks up 2 more. He has been absolutely fragging all night long. Here's literally vibing, though, making the push onto RCO, and it wasn't much of a push because it was over before we even got to see anything here. The res does come out from CD as they get him back on up, and now Cody, Muffins, and Petty continuing to move on here. They have another team trying to gatekeep them here on the northern side, but Petty Boss has a nice angle along with Muffins and Cody here. Going to be some poking, some airburst nades out. We'll see if this one connects. Nothing coming out from that one, but looks like multiple squads are actually in the area here on the north side.
This is a definite viable position to go and hold, but I didn't realize how close they were to coexisting here on the southeast side. And one of the reasons I love the meta right now is look at the action, look at the ability to make outplays and just the lack of Bloodhound scans. See, Crummy is able to go and play a little bit sneaky right there and play unorthodox as the rest of the teams are taking angles. And that Bloodhound meta, you were not able to make plays like this. And to me, it became a little bit stale. I'm so happy with the current fighting that we have and the current meta that we have in Apex Legends. Yes, a lot of Valkyrie, a lot of Caustic, etc. But to me, it's all about the little skirmishes and all about the little nuances of making plays like that. Unfortunately for Petty and Muffins and Cody, it looks like gamers are going to put a slow end to their run. I think they still have a rat throughout all of this, but that is going to be all she wrote eventually for those players. It's Sussy Baka's in a tough situation. Koala Bear eating a lot of damage. Mika's going to eat a lot of damage too. And I like this play, trying to make their way over towards the top of the bubble, but I don't believe you could sit on that eggshell, so he's going to fall right back down to the ground.
Okay, so Buff Pathfinder actually ended up in 5th place there. They somehow survived, got the res on over here at Mini Dome. I don't know how, they were able to actually escape and get the res, but that's why they ended up getting cleaned up here. And so we'll see if maybe the placement points make a difference, but we know that Cody Muffins and Petty, they had more kill points throughout all of that, so that should be the difference maker. They already had the lead as well, and right now I think it's going to be between those two squads. But here we go, the final two teams. It's going to be Gamers versus Literally Vibing in a full 3v3. Do have, it looks like very equal armor situations. The gold armor is the only difference between these two teams right now, as they are stuck inside of Mini Dome, and that's going to allow Gamers to try and set up cross angles. You can see Banshee is looking to back off and maybe play on the other side of this dome as they hand off heals to each other. This longbow is going to eventually have to get swapped out, because he needs to play for that close range eventually.
Ooh.
Unless he hits shots like that.
He's hitting some serious shots right there, and now Literally Vibing's going to have to slow heal over here with just cells. They have no idea that they're slow healing. Otherwise, the push would have already happened. 95, Ooh. 95. Okay, Jamerson, he's keeping the longbow forever.
He's got it fully kitted out as well. He's got that 410 Digi going out throughout all of this.
Oh
so
my.
if there was a cost, it's going to be incredibly great. But man, you can see Literally Vibing slowly getting choked out, forced back actually out of the ring right now. But here we go. He's got the Spitfire. If this comes into close quarters combat, this is going to be really good for that gold armor Gibraltar. Just needs to bring it within range. Jaren, he's got that gold R301 as well, falling back with the nades going down. Gamers just allowed too much time for the other side to heal up. Literally Vibing is given so many opportunities just to go for the reset. Gamers playing this one extremely cautiously, and I can understand why, Tom. Left in the 3v3, but here comes the defensive bombardment. It's inside the dome. Literally Vibing are on the other side of the here comes the flank, the two-man pushing out for that. Now they're just going to avoid that defensive bombardment. That's the first knock for Literally Vibing. They might be the first squad to get 2 wins tonight. It's a 2v1 left, as Literally Vibing playing the bubble expertly here, left to finish off this Wraith, and they will be able to get this win in game number 5.
You don't really expect in the eggshell area for a defensive bombardment to put that much work in, but it cost them the bubble, and they had the defensive bombardment in enemies' hands. If they wanted to go forward with that one, maybe that would have forced the bubble on the other side. Not able to capitalize on all of those longbow shots as well as the reason that they weren't able to go and take that one. But just an amazing job over towards the tail ends of the game there. We got to see how much it means for these teams to go and continue to put their best foot forward so they could just add up the points for the cumulative leaderboard.
Yeah, so that means, of course, with game number 5 done, we're going to take one last break. When we get back, we'll be able to take a look at the leaderboard to see who stands up top and walks away with that cool $350. So don't go anywhere, guys. We'll be right back.
Welcome back, everybody. Game number 5 in the books, and literally vibing, bookending the night with wins in games number 1 and 5, and we'll have to see if that's enough to put them at the top of our Mobile 1 leaderboard. Let's check out our final player of the game here for our first day of qualifiers here leading into Season 4, and it's going to go to Banshee. 7 kills and 3 assists and over 1,300 damage in this game. Banshee showing up big, literally vibing, showing up even bigger as they close the night with a big victory, and those points are going to feel really good on the leaderboard, and it's a great way to start off 8 days of qualifiers. Remember, we will be back here again tomorrow night with day 2 of our qualifiers for Season 4, and I'm super excited about that. Now, we're going to go to a quick break. When we come back, we'll have our final high-performance moment of the night. Tom and Jamerson will check out the Mobile 1 leaderboard. We'll see who ended up on top, and then I'll be back here to close the show. So don't go anywhere. We'll have your results here in just a few. What's going on, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Eat, Speak, Compete.
Eat, speak, compete.
Yes.
Name, incredible. Logo, even better.
And I'm your host, as always, Yeso, joined by my co-host, Luke Shimone Brew.
There's a lot to unpack there. I don't even know where to start.
If one of the North American teams doesn't win, their 2021 season is done. I got my fingers crossed. I think you got this. Let's turn more towards the competitive side. They finished strong.
They were like 35-2.
They finished strong.
Really if the only intent is, hey, let's make this game as esports as possible, then sure, but that's never going to be what Nintendo does.
And I'm very curious to see what kind of their first take on what a Valorant World Championship should look like.
Dang. That's super fun sounding.
Yeah, I think it's going to go.
That sounds super fun. I think that's like the
All right, welcome back, guys, to Series E. We've had 5 great games in the first night of qualifiers. And don't you worry, we have a lot more Apex Legends action that'll be taking place tomorrow. We have so many more weeks of qualifiers. But for tonight, like we said, every night, there's $500 on the line, with $350 going to first place and $150 going to second place. So we have to check in with the Mobile 1 leaderboard to see who stands atop after those 5 games. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. And it will be Cody, Muffins, and Petty walking away with first place, 68 points. Buff Pathfinder, though, narrowly get that second place. They'll be securing the $150 bag while literally vibing despite getting that last win. Miss out by 1 point, Tom.
I'm excited to see how tomorrow goes, and hopefully we still have the same teams or close to the same teams coming through, because I'm looking at this left-hand side, and I really think all of these teams stood out to me in a certain way. Shame Assist, Joe Boys, RCO. I mean, Joy Boys already won one. We saw some really great things out of literally vibing. It's going to be a tough road to get into this top 5 for the rest of these teams.
Yeah, and taking a look at the Mobile 1 high performance moment of that final game, came down to this 3v3, literally vibing. We're slowly getting walked down. We saw, of course, that longbow putting in work, but eventually the kind of trap was set, you know? Understanding that there was still a longbow on the other side meant that the bubble fight would be so much stronger for literally vibing.
And you got to give credit again to literally vibing for 2 great performances towards the tail end of the games, but also SeriesE for just doing some great things on Gibraltar. Again, I really feel like he turned the tides in both these final 3v3s or both of these final high performance moments, and the times that they were able to win these games with the way that he was able to position himself and just the utility that it was using. So if they're continuing to play like that, and if SeriesE continues to play a really strong Gibraltar, I think this is a team that could definitely qualify for SeriesE.
Yeah, but overall, congratulations to Cody, Muffins, and Petty for taking the win tonight. They are currently our leaders. They walk away with $350, and they have a head start throughout the qualifying rounds of SeriesE Season 4. We're going to be back tomorrow, so make sure you guys have your clocks set. We'll be back tomorrow at 6:30 p.m. for another night of qualifying rounds. For now, though, we're going to go ahead and send it back over to JC, who's laying in wait in the studio. So go ahead and take it away.
Well done as always, gentlemen. No better way to kick off another season of qualifiers here in Series E than with Tom and Jamerson on the call. They crushed it today. Absolutely a pleasure to listen to you both once again. These couple weeks off, it was a little weird, but they're back on the mics here. Make sure to give them some love in Twitch chat. Meanwhile, Cody Muffins Petty grabbing the victory here tonight. Well played. The squad looking really strong throughout all 5 games, and they come out on top with that nice little 8-point cushion. So they will sit at the top of that cumulative leaderboard here with 1 day in the books and 7 more to go. As Jamerson mentioned, obviously we'll be back for qualifiers once again tomorrow night. If you want to watch, right here at twitch.tv/esportsarena. If you want to compete, it's matcherino.com/ESA. And when we do check-ins, make sure you're there as soon as possible. Do not miss out on competing. You've got a shot to be a Series E sponsored player. A lot on the line going into Season 4. That's going to be a wrap here for tonight. My name's Yeso. I hope you guys had a blast. I always love getting to be here with all of you. For myself, the entire live broadcast crew, and everybody here at Esports Arena, thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you again next time.
by my side. We're going left, tell me why you're always on the right. Don't decide, I just need you to barely try. Know I've tried, I just need you to not die. There's one left, I need you to win this fight. You should've rest, we lose like this every time. Go ahead and cry, you're not getting better. This isn't fine, we can't play together. And tell me, where are you looking? There's no way that you cannot see what I see. And tell me, where are you looking? There's no way that you cannot see what I see. And tell me, where are you looking? There's no way that you cannot see what I see. And tell me, where are you looking? There's no way that you cannot see what I see. Going left, my side. We're going left while you're always on the right. Don't decide, I just need you to barely try. No, I fight, I just need you to not die. There's one left, I need you to win this fight. You should've rest, we lose like this every time. Go ahead and cry, you're not getting better. This isn't fine, we can't play together. Tell me, where are you looking? There's no way that